pushing proof into the pitch of fire until you see a Come on, you know we're gonna break through.
Everyone, and welcome back to the WREC Championship Finals, because yeah, we are heading into the finals. I'm joined in the Analyst desk by Health Devil, Darkbreaker, Andrew, and starting with you, Health Devil, how do you see this finals going?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited, especially after seeing Team Queso's performance yesterday, right? Like, in the beginning, I thought RixGG is just gonna wipe the floor with everything, but seeing Queso yesterday, seeing Joey on those ADCs, oh, I'm excited, Noah.
And Darkbreaker, this is a match we get to see the first day in the group. It was the 2-1, and how many games are you expecting?
It's the rematch, and I think this is gonna be such a close series, but it's so hard to predict. It can go either way, and obviously I'm gonna hope for Game 7, because the more games, the better. And RixGG and Team Queso, the two top teams, going into this, it's gonna be absolutely crazy.
The 7th game is the dream, isn't it, Drew? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, all these teams have been showing they can play so many different styles, so you mean, the more we're gonna see, the better, and especially in these best of 7 and best of 5s, the meta kind of changes during the series. You know, some picks are really strong, some picks doesn't work out, and you kind of get to see the both teams' strengths and weaknesses. So, you know, I mean, I'm excited to see what these teams are going to be pulling out.
And I would say that the constant in this tournament so far has been RixGG consistency, also, because, I mean, they look strong every single series they play.
You know what it is? RixGG has been consistent since I've known the name. Like RixGG, consistency. They only screwed up during the live event because it was a live stage where they lost. But yeah, consistency, and still every single game they just play well.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And there is an important story in these finals to happen, because Darkbreaker, this is a rematch for the European throne.
Exactly, this is the rematch. Last year's tournament in the grand finals, RixGG lost to Team Queso, and Team Queso qualified for the first international tournament, which was the Horizon Cup. And now it's revenge time for RixGG Gaming. Can they beat Team Queso, who looked so strong in the last few weeks, and especially yesterday? They improved so much. We've talked about it. Yeah. Team Queso is peaking right now. They are peaking, they are looking fantastic, and RixGG Gaming consistently, obviously, and we will see how it's gonna turn out.
I think we get to see a real the best version of each team coming into these playoffs. You know, RixGG with consistency, but also Team Queso, which used to be quite one-dimensional team, became stronger, became diverse in their game plans.
They really did, and how are RixGG going to handle this? Because Game Lord showed yesterday they could not handle Andrewset on these fantastic carries. And when they tried to ban him out, then WREC just showed up. So this rematch for the European throne is just a crazy good title, because both these teams know exactly when to peak, and they're both peaking right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what's gonna be. I think this is peak. No pun intended. It's gonna be peak while Rift coming through into the last best of 7 series. We're gonna have some exciting matches to come, not only in the jungle, where we talk about Andreas all the time, because I mean he's probably the best jungler that we have here in the EMEA region. But also we have some exciting performances by for example, by Ram and by Acolyte the last days.
Yeah, and we all know Andres is like the most hyped jungler, and he is my favorite as well. But I can't be biased. 7, incredible player, and we all like. He's known to be perhaps the best solo queue jungler in Europe, and he was struggling a little bit to get into RixGG, but I feel he really showed in the last games that he can dominate with his team as well, especially when he played that Morgana, got ahead by like 2 levels. It's just, he's playing really, really well. So the jungle matchup is what my eyes are going to be on, but obviously all the other lanes just have such an exciting matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I mean, I was talking about the Baron lane. You know, we have the Acolyte versus Ramble, which is going to be an absolutely crazy matchup. But we also have quite an exciting matchup in the middle lane, because Snitch is, I mean, I'm talking about all the time about consistency, but the Snitch is data breaker. It's consistency itself.
Snitch is also Mr. Champion Pool. That guy can play any champion. We've seen it every single game. He's just picking a new champion. And on the Dakshan recently, he was absolutely amazing. But like you said, we are highlighting the different matchups. But in the end, we are in the grand finals already. Every single player in these grand finals is playing amazing. And you have to look out for every single player in this grand finals, because you never know who's going to pop off.
Absolutely agree on that, and the fact is that I'm excited also for the clutch of styles coming through onto these finals, because we got to see a view Team Queso, you know, trying the old style, you know, all funnel into undressed composition the first day. That it didn't work, but on playoffs it did. They improved their original style, I would say.
Yeah, they really improved on it, and not only did they improve, they also adapted and did something else whenever a game not adapted towards them. So it's a really diverse team we are going to be watching this game, and I think if Team Queso is to actually, you know, fall behind and see what are their weaknesses, I think it's been the champion pool from the mid laner only. Veas has been struggling a bit on different picks. He's been playing really good on the Singe, but when he picked up the Lulu, you know, there's been some so-so moments.
Yeah, guys, it's going to be some exciting finals to come. And yeah, I hope you are, because we are finally ready to finals.
Which managed to defeat Parla Esports in a 3-0 to make it to the Icons event.
In the backside of the team for Paula is losing.
It's hard to look at a team and think, you know, so many scrims, so many hours, so much solo queue, so much practice went into this moment, and them getting here.
They have a big wave. They can just rush on the Nexus. Hit the Nexus, guys. Queso have become icons.
My first time ever beating them in a BO3, BO5, anything. So, I mean, yeah, for my first event, going to Icons is pretty cool. Hey, Pop. Yeah, I think, yeah, it feels like we won the Super Bowl, yeah.
I think Team Queso have a very particular identity, and it's normally around Veos and Andres nowadays. Andres has just been an incredible jungler, and I think with their coach, you know, they bring up a lot of great compositions and ideas.
I think it's going to be interesting. I love playing against RixGG. The player I want to meet the most is Snitch. I've known him like since basically the game came out, and he kind of for a while took me under his wing.
It was like his first 100 games or first 150 games, and he was just doing this really cool play, and I was like, yo, this guy is popping off. We would just end up talking, and it kind of just bloomed into more of a friendship. And yeah, I definitely feel like I gave him a lot of advice. I feel like I have a lot of things I can say, and like, oh yeah, I've been in that position. Oh, I felt like that, where you have like imposter syndrome. I've been through all of that, so it was kind of cool in the way to have like this really talented rookie player who was coming up. It's really cool that he's found a place on Team Queso, and he can finally be present at a LAN event like this and, you know, show what he's got.
It's kind of cool that like now I get to face him, and it's a BO7 for a lot of money and a lot of pride, so yeah.
If we mess up too many times, they take the game, because they're still playing really well and they're playing really aggressive, and they want to win this game. Everyone is very hungry. We want to be the first seed. We want to be the representative of the, you know, as the best team in Europe. That's our goal. It's going to be a really intense match.
Onto the stage. First, representing RixGG,
in the Baron lane, it's Random! And his opponent, representing Team Queso, he is the Darius himself, Acolyte! Fighting out of the jungle for RixGG, he is Steven! And representing Team Queso, Andres! A mid-lane finals matchup. You know him, you love him. Spam it in the chat if you're from his Twitch. It's Snitch! For Team Queso, sometimes it's about the assassins, sometimes it's about the enchanters, but it's always about Theos! Has been all about the Dragon Lane, and say hello to Mr. Pentakill himself. It's the semi-finals MVP for Rix, it's Doom! Made us wait the entire split for that pop-off performance, but the prodigy of Dragon Lane, it's Joey Skaggs! Last but no means least, our supports for this matchup, and it's no mystery who roams from that bottom lane for Rix. I'll give you a clue, it is Clue! Supports on Team Queso. They may pick lots of supportive champions, but there can only be one Methanaut. Pieces of the puzzle on stage for the draft with their teams. Please welcome the coaches of Rix. It's Mozilla and Dooms. picks up Team Queso's sleeve. Please welcome to the stage, it's Coach Elky! Coaches, please shake hands. It is time for the first ever WREC Grand Finals.
Now it is time of finals. We follow the rhythm of the drums to that best of 7 between RixGG and Team Queso. What a crazy entrance was that?
Honestly, I would have believed that if they told that Mozilla was the security guard from Rix as well. I would have believed that. That was the most epic entry that I've ever seen.
Like literally, I mean, keeping sure that his guys are okay. You know, he has to make sure. But the fact is that we are gonna head into this series in no moment at all. And we have a lot of storylines to pull here. A lot of clue factors are gonna be important to this in this series so far. We were discussing, you know, before the opening entrance. You know, we were discussing about the bar lane. We were discussing about the mid lane, about the jungle. But I have to talk to Greg about Joey Skaggs and how he popped off yesterday.
I think Joey is going to be definitely a deciding factor if Team Queso is going to win the series, because he has been stepping up yesterday, and if he is continue and showing that he can go on those hyper carry ADCs and still carry the game, I can definitely see that Team Queso has a good shot of winning the finals, because we've seen it. On Corki, his compo pick, he is performing exceptionally well.
Yes.
But even if he's getting banned out of his Corki, out of the Saya, and maybe out of the Morgana, he still went on Kai'Sa and he went like a beast, 15 kills and smashed them.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I really want to talk because at the beginning, you know, of the event finals, it was all about how it's gonna affect the LAN experience to the players, but they are all now so used to it. And these are two lineups with a lot of experience on their backs.
Both these teams playing in the grand finals in the Origin series, both the teams had a little bit of different roster last time, but I mean, this is experienced players. They have been dominating the European scene for over a year. All of these players are top of their position, and that's why they're in the grand finals. And Hyper Carry ADCs is up on the screen right now, and that's definitely something we've seen. Some teams used to play a lot of mages in the bot lane for the entire split, but right now on this stage, they've been picking up these AD carries, Joey Skaggs on the Kai'Sa, as Dooms mentioned earlier. I mean, as Darkbreaker mentioned earlier, and Doom on that Varus has been really key for RixGG.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, we were talking just about that a few moments before Joey popped off yesterday a lot with that Kai'Sa. I remember, before that, we thought that after the Corki, maybe it was a problem if he was going to be banned out, but we're going to have house level, a lot of priority, I still think, onto these hyper carries, Dim versus Joey. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I love the fact that we're saying, you know, we're going to have priority on the hyper carries like Joey.
Like Joey.
It's not Andres, the hyper carry. It's the hyper carries. Joey, Acolyte, all of them.
Yes.
You know, Vegas as well. They've all showed that they can all do it. Although Andres against 7 is obviously still the main part of the game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, it's nice for Team Queso to have more carries, but they have the ultimate carry. We saw him yesterday playing that amazing, unkillable Graves.
Yeah, Andres Z has been showing such an amazing performance, and there's a reason why they are playing around Andres Z, because he is the superstar jungler since last year, even performing so exceptionally well on the stage right now. And every single time, if they need someone who, like, if they're too behind, if they're kind of like, oh, we are not confident enough, they have Andres Z as the backbone, as the leader in the jungle, carrying and controlling the pace of the game.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. I mean, Andres is being the satisfied.
But at the same time, we have C7, obviously, who's been performing so consistently overall. Like, we always like to, like, we mention Andres all the time, but C7 at the same time is doing such a consistent work overall.
But they're very different junglers. Andrew said this is hyper carry jungler, where Seven has been popping off on champions like Morgana. He's the one that sets up his team for success. He has the strong laners in Doom, in Clue, in Random, in Snitch, and he understands exactly how to play the map, how to make them succeed. And that's a big difference between RixGG and Team Queso, because Seven is one of the only junglers that's been really using Morgana pick and the utility of these junglers, and especially Vi.
It's kind of funny, right? Because Anders is the carry indeed, and then Seven is the one that's allowing his teammates to carry, because he has such good players in every single lane.
Absolutely.
Random, Snitch, and Doom. These are all such incredible players. All he has to do, gank them, support them, and they'll carry the game. Well, if you look at Team Queso, right, they're looking a little bit itchy, but now I feel it could be the same for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And now we have to talk about our Baron Lane Titans. Because what after they are, we have the Random versus Acolyte, the Breaker. Acolyte popped off yesterday as well. He got a pen, thank you.
Acolyte actually showing off that he is also one of the best Baron laners. He goes on the Shen. Shen is typically a tank, a supporting champion. He wanted to support Androzet, but what does he do instead? He takes the show away. He gets the pentakill on that Shen. That's crazy, but we have to consider that Acolyte can play so many different playstyles. He can go on that ADC, he can go on the hyper carry Baron laners, and he can also go for those tanky utility teamfight based champions. But at the same time, we have Random on the other side of the match. Random has been performing so well consistently on a lot of champions, and he was the first one who actually picked Shen and went legendary.
Yeah, it went legendary. Like, we have an interesting Shen Enjoyers matchup, let's put it that way, Ryu. But it was one hell of a clash back in the first day of the finals.
This Group A first matchup have seen to be exciting. I mean, it also ended 2-1 last time. I mean, I'm expecting we are going to be seeing a back and forth game in this grand finals as well, because it's quite funny in these 3 key points. We're highlighting the ADC, we're highlighting the jungler, we're highlighting the top lane. I mean, both these teams just have incredible players everywhere. I mean, where are you going to find a gap? If you're either of these teams and you're going to sit there with a coach behind the scene thinking, how are we going to beat this team? I mean, how do you do this? I mean, this is almost an impossible task for both these teams. It's two like unstoppable walls fighting against each other, and which one is going to tear down first?
I don't know what's going to happen. I really expect a really, really long series, but I want to ask the Camelot, what does she think?
Well, I want to know what Mozilla, coach for RixGG, thinks. So the first thing, yesterday you did a quite accurate prediction of the 3-0 versus Parla. Now I want you to give me a prediction for your game against Team Queso.
Team Queso has already managed to take one game off of us, so I give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's a 4-1 this time.
Okay, 4-1, but just one, not anymore. Just a little bit. Something is something. We also need to talk, of course, about spicing things up a little bit. So I'm going to ask you, why do you think you're better than Team Queso?
I feel like our preparation has been better over the tournament. And you've seen yesterday we played, I think, 14 out of 15 possible different champions. So it's also very difficult to expect what we are going to bring out on the table. And I feel like we can use that, especially in the draft and in-game, to outplay Team Queso.
Talk about draft team play. What is your roadmap now for this series, for these games? It's a best of 7, which is a little bit different than what we're used to. So how are you planning and preparing the players to face this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously in a best of 7, you play a lot of games. It's basically like a marathon. So throwing the enemy off is like the most important thing. If they're off rhythm, if you bring something out on the table and it defines the series later on, it's a huge boon for you.
Okay, so for now, we're gonna let you go back to the players to prepare for the game. Thank you very much, Mozilla, for being honest as always, and sending it back to the casters now. Goodbye, you guys.
Thank you very much, Carmeline. Thank you very much, Mozilla, there as well. Getting ready for the first ever WREC finals. That feels so good to say. It's been months in the making. Stuart joining me for game 1 of this series. I mean, I feel like asking how you feel is a stupid question right now, but how do you feel?
I mean, after that opening ceremony with all the drums, all the hype, all the players shaking hands as well, this is a moment we've been waiting for since the start of the WREC season. We're here, all the players are here as well, the coaching staff are here. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get into this game.
But for newer viewers to the WREC, would you say that both expected teams are here? Because I feel like this is a rematch of last year's finals, but these were not the teams we picked, or at least one of them wasn't. And I mean, no disrespect by that, but we just saw Gamelord go past Parla. We built up for months that it was likely to be Gamelord and RixGG in this situation, but it's return of the Queso at this point.
I feel like it's a Queso land buff. I feel like it happens quite a bit, to be fair. I mean, I think they briefly mentioned it as well, that Team Queso, when they're in this offline environment, they definitely can perform. They had a bit of a shaky start, but I feel like they've adapted very well, and they've actually changed their style. And I feel like in a best of 7 as well, it's going to be a very, very long day for both these teams.
Oh, yeah.
Could potentially be 4 games, could potentially be 7 games. We'll have to find out.
So let's lay some groundwork on team play style. For Team Queso, it's a very, very direct style where they draft around their jungler Andres. It's all about giving him a lot of resources. They even draft like multiple carries, multiple enchanters to empower him from a carry role. For RixGG, their champion pools are generally so deep that they don't have one defined play style. They can play around random in the Baron lane. They can play around Snitch. They can play around Doom. So they're very flexible, and I think that might be their greatest strength coming into this finals.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as Mozilla said in the interview, and as we mentioned yesterday, 14 out of 15 champions that they played yesterday in the best of 3 were unique. I'm really excited to see what they bring in the best of 7. Were they going to bring out even more unique champions? But I mean, you saying that about Andre, I mean, no surprise because he's such a talented player. But I feel like yesterday they showed that they can also put the eggs in other people's baskets as well, with Joey popping off in the Kai'Sa, Acolyte popping off at the same time as well. And looking at this draft, I mean, you can see RixGG, like you just said, focusing on Andre with all of these bans.
Yeah, it might seem strange that you're like, why the hell are there two supports banned this early? Yesterday we saw first rotation Lulu Yumi from Queso.
Karma is open. Karma is open, and it's going to be interesting to see if RixGG are going to pick up this Karma for this first game. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a surprise if Karma gets picked here. I'll be very, very surprised they don't do it. And there we go. There is the Karma.
Only our 3rd game that we've had Karma available. Everybody else has been banning Karma. We saw RixGG yesterday actually leave it open against Parla and just say, well, we really don't care what you play into us. So Karma being taken out could go to Clue, could go to Snitch. We've seen it in both mid and in that bottom lane role. I think we've really eaten through the Enchanter pool now, and red side Gragas, again, for those of you that perhaps haven't tracked the European meta, Gragas flexes between 4 lanes, very strong in general across the whole of the world for competitive play, and this is a different flavor from Team Queso.
Yeah, I mean, Methanol's only played 1 game of Rakan so far, played it yesterday in 1 game, and honestly did have a really good game. So taking that away from Clue as well, has been his most played champion, is no surprise. Like you said, the Gragas is very strong as well. It's very different to what we saw in the last series as well, because last series we saw no Rakan, but now it's first rotation red side.
And this is a pick that's had almost no priority this entire tournament long. Set Singed picked up, so that's likely to be Singed on Snitch in the middle lane. And then, hang on, is that going to be Set? Okay, so we have 2 potential support champions. Typically, we've seen more Set, Support, and Karma. I don't know, would you blind Set top lane, Baron lane at this point? We haven't seen Set jungle in a very long time, like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks away.
No, I don't think we're going to see Set jungle. We haven't seen it for a long time since the nerfs, pretty much when he first came out. Morgana there for most likely for Joey, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they flex these 3 picks. One of my notes I put here is just Singed. Like, both these players play Singed, and I thought it was going to be a high priority, and it is going to be a high priority for the series. Both Veos and Snitch have both played Singed, and I feel like it definitely works well for both these teams.
That next step, though, we look at what does the Singed do, and against a Gragas and against a Rakan, it's going to deny a lot of engage potential there, where you're looking to shut down that mobility using the Mega Adhesive. We'll see how that works within the game and how that actually has an impact on the game. Some of you watching that perhaps watched our previous series might think it might be Morgana jungle. The way that Team Queso have played is it has tended to put Joey on those enchanters. So it is still possible that Andre is on that champion, but I feel like it's as far away from that kind of 1v1 dueling hyper carry jungle that Andre typically plays.
Yeah, don't think it's going to go in Andre's hands. I don't think it's an Andre champion. The one champion that is an Andre champion is Jax, and Jax is still open in this draft. The Olaf has been banned away, no surprise, but the Jax is also open, so that's not going to be taken for Team Queso so far. So it's going to be interesting to see if Rick's ban it away, but Team Queso going for 2 hyper carry bans because they already have that duo lane pick of the Morgana.
And Doom has got pentakills on Jinx this season already, so removing a pick that we haven't seen a lot here at the WREC finals, but is still a potent one for Doom. So few bans compared to what we normally see going towards Andre. He has basically his entire champion pool on top of what you already talked about.
Yeah, I think it's just the Olaf ban, and he can pick so many. You can pick the Graves, you can pick the Jax if you want to as well. The reason why Team Queso are banning these hyper carries is because Karma is really the enabler for these hyper carries, with the movement speed, with the shield, with all the crowd control as well. Normally when you play Karma in that support role, you want to pair that with a hyper carry instead of these AP mages in the bot lane. There's the Jax. There we go.
Through. That's going to tell us that Joey is going to the Morgana. Now, there are a couple that are still available but that we don't see too much. We've seen Tristana a handful of games. We then look to picks that I know you would be very happy of, getting a Zyre, if that could come through, as a champion that can scale very well into the game. And there's a big tanky front line for RixGG already. Even though both Singed and Set offer damage and tankiness, both of them are hard to get through. Set can peel from himself, Singed once you have to Rylai's run through, and it's a Draven. It's the opposite direction. The complete opposite. Draven is a hard snowballing pick, but in that bottom lane, Draven Karma feels very oppressive in the lane.
Oh, Doom picks up the Draven. He's like, you know what, grand final, I don't even care. I'm going to play the most aggressive AD carry I can. I have a Karma by my side as well. It is going to be that Set barrel lane as well. The blind pick for Random. Random just... he doesn't care at all.
Is there a world in which Queso call the bluff and say, fine, we're flexing anyway, Morg to mid, Gragas to top, pick a different AD carry so you don't lose the lane so hard? It's not going to be that way. We have seen Jace played in a bot lane role, but I don't think that'll be it here. That's likely to be going up to top for Acolyte, likely to be Gragas in the middle lane with Morgana going down into the duo lane to kind of just deter. I feel like that means Joey and Methanaut for game 1 are basically never going to want to be in lane against the Draven with a Karma. That sounds really terrifying.
As a Morgana, it's going to be really difficult. I mean, she's just going to use the pull to try and push the wave as fast as possible. But Doom and Clue in this duo lane is going to play super aggressive. For people who don't know at home, with Draven, you have a passive that gets stacks every time that you pick up an axe, that you get any CS, so get any minions, kill any minions. And then when you get a kill, you get this big bunch of gold that you can get, and you can really snowball with Draven. And I feel like the snowballing potential is really key in this bot lane matchup.
Truly key, because they're relying a lot for RixGG. It's not the only way that they can win this game, but they're relying on a lot of early game snowballing to close the game out quickly before the Jax from Andre can come online. That does mean that the one thing you're looking for if you're a Team Queso fan is that Draven to not get any kills. And even if he stacks up, if you kill him, you cut it in half. If you kill him again, you cut it in half. And as long as you don't let him cash in, Queso fans will be happy watching Doom go 0-0-0 on this matchup, or even, you know, like 0-5-0 would be what they're looking for. On the other hand, if he's like 5-0, constantly cashing in, Draven very rapidly gets 1, 2, 3 items ahead of his opponent if the game even goes that late.
And that becomes very, very scary. And I think the most important thing as well is that SE7 is on an aggressive jungler. This is kind of his pick. This is what he normally plays in solo queue as well. And that means that he's probably going to be playing around this bot side of the map, but he actually goes for a level 1 before he even starts the jungle.
Important first flash down from Feos. Now, one of the things is Gragas can play very securely, very safely, but now with no flash. And I want to comment on the way that we've seen teams beat Team Queso is generally taking the fight to them early game in the jungle and making sure Andre doesn't have the time to get into the game. Queso will give extra CS, will give extra presence, extra wards, time to Andre all the way through the game, and the best teams that have unseated Queso online in the tournament have been the ones that say, no, your jungle belongs to us. Andre, you don't get to play the game.
Yeah, definitely. And he's going to go back to mid lane as well.
Dead already. This is exactly the turnaround for first blood.
Oh, no, Doom!
Game bottom lane. This can't be happening. Surely. We had the read on it being aggressive from RixGG in their favor, but Methanaut's going to hit 2. That'll let him get away. Wow, okay, 1 trade apiece One in mid lane in favor of RixGG with the first blood gold, and bottom lane Joey and Methanol picking up the 2v2 kill.
Hopefully we get a replay of that bot lane play. I feel like it was the binding or the knock-up. Maybe Doom was just playing a little bit too over-aggressive. We're going to see the mid lane playing instead of... We're going to say it was one of the two. It was just a flash from Snitch with the flip as well, and with no flash from Veos. The great thing as well, it looks like it was the knock-up by Methanol, and he just walked forward. He just didn't respect the Q coming out from Joey, and he hit level 2. He got the first ability, the Dark Binding. He was able to catch out Doom, and that's a kill in the bot lane. And even though he doesn't have that many stacks, but getting that gold lead in the duo lane is really important for Team Queso because they want to try and shut this Draven down.
It's massive, and Draven without flash is so much less potent because he does not have mobility when you look at a jump or a dash or a blink built into his kit. He has movement speed that comes from using his ability too. He has a knockback, but all of those things don't keep him alive if there's an engaging support on top of him like a Rakan. So with that flash now down, that aggression goes away, and I wonder how this is going to affect things, because people who have watched a lot of Europe and EMEA region will know that we like to put our AD carries into the middle lane around about the level 4. I say AD carries, but typically it's been a lot of mages to wave clears. We go into the bottom lane for an engage. Joey Skaggs doesn't have splash available. That will be the kill going over to Lee Sin, but Draven's wave clear is pretty bad.
Yeah, for sure. And against Morgana could just put the pull down. The wave clear is going to be there. But SE7 has done a great job so far. SE7 is like the perfect start for a Lee Sin. You go mid lane early on, actually before he even started his first camp, blew the flash, and it was like, okay, Snitch, he has no flash, you're going to flash in, pull them away. And the great thing that Snitch did there as well was he actually stood between Veos and trying to escape. That means that even if Veos did body slam, it was just going to go straight into Snitch, and there was no way to escape. He goes down to the bot lane because Joey Skaggs doesn't have a flash as well. So the communication and the rotations of SE7 at the moment in this game has been really, really good.
And it's kind of a rarity that we've seen so much action around mid lane. A lot of the time it kind of falls away in the early game. You get these safe lanes. Random's going to get engaged upon by Acolyte, but the old switcheroo comes from Seven, just being in the lane. And again, that impact that Seven's having has the flash of it nearly available, so we'll be able to look for a kick flash setup in a lane if you can find somebody without their flash. And Acolyte just blew his. Perfect scenario if he needs it. But it doesn't hit that time in bot lane.
I think the movement speed is definitely going to help Doom because you have the movement speed from his second ability. You also have the movement speed for the Karma as well. The Karma is going to be very, very good. Singe is just laughing away. I feel like that's what Snitch is doing as well.
That's attached to his ability 1, right? When you start it, he starts laughing. So Snitch is definitely rubbing it in on Veos that he's a kill up in the lane with that jungle help.
I mean, they talked on the Analyst desk about this matchup in the jungle as SE7 is kind of the rising star. He only joined RixGG at the start of this split. We cast him a few times at the start of the year as well, and he felt really very shaky, very out of place as a jungler on this RixGG lineup. I feel like as the year's gone on, he's definitely evolved. He's definitely grown into the lineup as well. And Andre on the other side on this Jax pick doesn't want to go for these over-aggressive plays on the Jax because Jax against Lee Sin in the early game, Lee Sin is going to win that 100% of the time.
Yeah, and we've seen in the moments where SE7 is overextended. Hang on, Snitch is going to flash Proto Belt, fling into the lane. There's the kick. Oh, the mechanics are on point. Even the Singe mechanics doesn't matter because RixGG are going to pick up the kill. They even give it to 7. Ray, you say Singe mechanics, but flash fling into the kick, into the Sonic Wave is exactly what RixGG needed top lane.
Flash Proto Belt, and this is what everyone does on Singe. They just go Proto Belt first item, and it's just pretty much like a setup champion in a way. You just roam around the map because you can clear the mid-wave really, really easily. Sometimes you can even leave the mid lane like they're doing at the moment. He's going to try and get the top tower, but there's 3 members down in this duo lane. They're not going to do much at the moment, but Doom rotated up instead. They're going to try and get the first tower of the game, which they'll be able to do without even using the Rift Heralds.
Yeah, that'll be a significant moment for them. You can see Acolyte has got the Hull Breaker, and it has been bestowed over the buff to the Cannon Minion. Won't last too much longer as Team Queso. They're going to try and break mid-tower, and as the Karma ult comes through with the Whirling Death as well, it's not enough to actually take anyone from Queso down, but the minion wave is what they were looking for from that situation. They deny the push.
Yeah, Clue using the Manta version of the first ability and also the ultimate, being able to clear the wave. Also got a flash as well from Joey, so again, that's going to be down. That's a situation where SE7 can maybe look towards that mid lane because the duo laners are going to go now into the mid lane. So Doom at the moment, he hasn't got any kills. He does have that Rift Herald though, so maybe he can try and look to use that in the mid lane, and SE7 is everywhere.
That'll be a really important point as we're actually going to find another pick. Nice dodge out by Methanol. Going to get to safety over the wall. And one of the things I wanted to ask you is, as we go into this next portion of the game, how does this composition, which is a little different from RixGG, really play the map? Because there's a Hullbreaker Jace on the other side who, even though they're behind, once this Rift Herald is gone, we've got a little moment of the game where there's not really a very obvious place to go. Mega Adhesive buying the tower is going to deny Methanol. We'll of quickness has been popped. Explosive Cask is actually going to blast everybody away, and as the Rift Herald charges, it won't pick up mid tower either, so both teams failing, Jace pushing bot.
Yeah, Jace is pushing bot, like you said, Hullbreaker first item. You don't normally see set building Hullbreaker, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to build it this game. But I think Random just has to make sure that he just follows Acolyte around. Normally with set, you want to have him in the team fights, but I think Hullbreaker's a first item. When you see that, you know the game plan of Acolyte straight away. 100 stacks already for Doom on this Draven, so if he does get that kill, he's going to get a bunch of gold, but as you mentioned, if he dies, he's going to lose half of them stacks.
And now you just want to bank it, right?
Yep.
You've got the gold there, but you want it as items. Like, you need to get the kill converted, otherwise you're just kind of this giant money bag that somebody is going to take half of. It's like taxes. Doom's going to have to pay his taxes if he plays too aggressively. Always pay your taxes, just to put that out there.
Wasn't there a situation in the regular season of WREC where Draven had about 200 or 300 stacks and his team was not letting him get the kill?
Ironically, I think it was Joey as well.
I thought it was Joey as well, yes.
For some reason. And he loses half of his stacks and then dies again because he has no flash. And like, the Draven got knocked out. But in this game, it's Acolyte that may be getting knocked out here. Hullbreaker won't do enough to keep you alive against 3 people. Good attempt. RixGG is trying to give the kill over just a little bit, waste a little bit more time, and it's gone over to Snitch to make that Singed even stronger.
The rotations from the side of RixGG and the macro play at the moment are just far above and beyond Team Queso at the moment. Team Queso are the ones that are getting caught out across the map, whether it's the mid lane, the duo lane, the Baron lane. SC7 has been all over the map at the moment. You see, Andreas is going to look to try and catch out SC7, but they know. But Snitch is going in, but nice Black Shield.
Yeah, it's going to deny the fling. That's one of the things that, of course, you can do with that Black Shield. We were actually having a discussion earlier about how, like, Morgana Singed interactions around Black Shield are actually kind of confusing, because depending on when you get Black Shielded, part of the Mega Adhesive, effect of getting stunned if you're flinged onto it, flung, however you say it, there's just some confusion there that I'm glad we actually have the both in the game, because I'm like, I know if you're Black Shielded before being flung, nothing happens, right? You'd never get flung. So that's what you're looking for. But I'm just like, what about if it's in the air? Like, when you arrive, how much crowd control applies? I'm guessing it's none. I don't play enough Singed or Morgana to know. And if I did play Morgana, I'd definitely shield the wrong person. So.
That's a Diamond player for you.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants that. I'm still in the equivalent, Diamond, aka Iron, this season.
So, looking back at this game, is still a gold lead. Random trying to solo Acolyte, but Acolyte has so many resistances right now with the Hullbreaker as the first item. Can't really do too much if you're Random. The next Rift Herald is spawning, and also the Dragon as well. Was Team Queso that picked up their first Dragon? They traded it for Rift Herald, but RixGG were able to take that first tower of the game. And I feel like if they get this second Rift Herald as well, they're just going to try and break down that mid lane tower. But Acolyte, he's not doing too bad. He's actually 400 gold ahead, even though he's 0-2 right now. He's still 400 gold ahead. Across the board, 800 gold lead, roughly about 1,000 gold lead now for the mid lane. The jungle as well is about 700 gold ahead. There's not a lot of gold lead, but Andre and
quickly does it up into top lane, and now Acolyte and Andre will push the tower down. That'll open up a little bit more of the rift as RixGG are going to be able to take out the dragon. And it's interesting that despite all of that power, all of that presence, even before that kill, there was only about a 600 gold lead on 7 on the jungle, and that's with 3 kills on top of it. So Queso have done a good job of slowing down the game, but I don't think that they can slow it down too much longer. This Rift Herald is going to drop, but who's going to get it? It's RixGG stealing it away with Karma. Clue picks it up. A Methanord over the wall will be able to get back away. There's another tower has fallen in the bottom lane. If Joey dies,
Doom got a kill.
Doom already cashed in.
Double
kill is going to allow him to accelerate even faster into this game. Veos will get caught in the bottom lane. I think he should be okay, although with the suplex under the tower, the body slam should be enough when it comes back up after the explosive cast. The rest of RixGG are heading down the river, though.
Yep, here we go. It's going to be... are they going to tower dive? They're probably going to tower... I mean, all 5 members are down, and Snitch is just like, I'm just going to attack the tower.
No flash and no hope for Veos as it's RixGG, Snitch, Swirl, and he picks up the kill.
Beautiful rotations again by RixGG, and Andre's in the enemy jungle, not going to be able to do too much. They're going to try and get this mid lane tower instead. Random's going to stay in this duo lane to try and get the bot lane tower, and it's 3 towers to 2 at the moment, but I think this mid lane tower is going to go down as well. So we're even in terms of dragons, we're even in terms of towers. Gold lead is still in favor of RixGG because they've been rotating around the map, getting the kills, and now Doom. I want to see what items Doom has now because he got 2 kills. He has a Storm Razor already, he has the BF Sword and that Vamp. But going into this replay, we're going to see the Doom is just in the back line, and he's just auto-attacking for free. I think he even flashes over the wall. Yeah, both of them. SE7 and Doom flashes over the wall. He gets 1 kill. He gets 2 kills as well, which allows him to get the gold that he gets from his passive. And this is where Doom wants to be. With Draven, if you get that gold lead, if you get the early bet gold, you can see 2,000 gold lead now for Doom down in Dura lane. Has the Storm Razor, is going for the Infinity Edge. I talked to Doom a little bit as well, you know, about AD carry builds in general. He likes to go for that Vamp kind of as a first item, just get that little bit of healing. Saying that,
might need some healing in the top lane for Acolyte as Redemption comes out as well, thrown into the mix, and Team Queso. It was looking good, it was looking close for a while, but I think these last few fights, Seven downtown, but it's all about his own demise, or is it? He gets away and the team actually play front line. Methanaut is going to get dropped to begin this one. It's another kill going over to Doom. It's a killing spree, and Seven playing on the edge right the way through that team fight, all the way into the jungle, picks up the kill.
Really as far as that Akali from yesterday, going from one side of the map to the other, but really deep play there by Seven, but he was able to survive anyway. He was able to safeguard away. The rest of his team was there as well. Random did really well, flash and pulled together 3 members on the side of Team Queso, and Team RixGG at the moment looking really strong. But saying that, the goal lead is not really that much as what you'd think it would be, to be fair. You know, about a 5,000 goal lead. You got 3,000 goal lead pretty much for the side of Draven or Doom, but SE7 as well again.
Yeah, the Blind Monk has been spotted. Great knock-up from Methanaut to keep him in place. Snitch is going to get the fling back. The kill will come through as it's a rampage for Doom. He got himself the MVP yesterday in the series in Game 1. It started badly for Doom. I'm just going to put it out there, getting caught in lane, but he's now picking up all of the kills that he needs. Whirling Death comes through, but it's already picked up from Random on this set, and RixGG are in full control now, 11 kills to 2.
Yeah, full control. Just going to be able to push out this mid lane. Going to try and potentially get the mid lane tower. Snitch on this Singed. He's everywhere. He's just like, okay, I'm just going to walk in. I'm just going to use my poison. I'm going to use my pool as well. Just fling you back, and there's nothing really that you can do about it. And honestly, at the moment, Team Queso, there's not really nothing they can do in this game at the moment. They're on the back foot, and they're trying to find the little plays here and there, but Seven on this Lee Sin has been absolutely everywhere. 4-0-6 now on this Lee Sin, and even though he has 4 kills and Andre doesn't have any, as we look back at the replay, it's actually Seven that was good, that was getting caught out, but it was actually really good knock-up by Methanaut on the Rakan, but the follow-up just wasn't there, unfortunately. Acolyte was on the side. He used the Shot Blast acceleration gate, but didn't really do that much damage because he has that whole breaker as well, and he's grouping up, and then Snitch again, just using the Proto Belt, using the fling to get back into, push the member of Team Queso back into his team. With the pool as well, he's not being able to flash away, and that's going to be another dragon over to RixGG. Like you said, full control for RixGG now, and Feos can be caught again.
He's not on vision this time. Feos actually does manage to back away, though, as RixGG. I mean, Queso know that they're in there. They've pinged the danger ping. Mega Adhesive is really toxic. I'm going to be honest. Like, you just throw it down and Rakan's like, you're not a champion anymore. You actually cannot engage anything, whereas Seven is still hopping around the entire fight. He's in behind Acolyte. The kick should be all too clean off the flash fling as well. It's another kill going over to RixGG, and I think they really have put Game 1 in the books already. Seven dashes behind the tower. Guardian Angel should keep him alive even when he drops, and in come the rest of RixGG. They're going to try and play defense, although Snitch, he's found himself under the enemy tower. Maybe it was a little bit too far as Jax is pushing on the side lane. The tower's still alive, but there's the stasis from Joey Skaggs. No flash, no exhaust, no way of getting out, and Veos, he has 3 low health targets in front of him, but no abilities really to do it. He has the body slam and the flash, the stasis as well. It's an inhib going down, and the cooldown's up in order to take the 1 versus 3. It's locking him down under the tower, and Clue takes him out. It's Doom with the killing blow. On the other side of the rift, Andre has pushed an inner tower, but the Nexus is getting pushed already. RixGG will back away and steady themselves. They don't want to over-push. They don't want to throw Game 1 because right now they're on the cusp of taking a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, Random is just playing the defensive game, and I feel like that's what I said. That's what they need to do. Andre trying to split push, trying to get as much gold really as possible. We take a back look at the replay. Seven here with the engage again. He's been everywhere. Methanaut tries to escape, but you can't really do that much when you got, you know, the pool. You can't dash away or do anything like that. He does get caught though. He does go into his Guardian Angel. Snitch and Clue are just like, yeah, we're just going to flash forward. We don't really care. Snitch does die because the great explosive cast by Veos. Doom was really low, unfortunately, for Joey. The Dark Binding does miss. Dark Binding flash was a really good dodge by Doom. You can see, as you mentioned, really low health bars as we go back to live. They were able to get that bot lane inhibitor, and now Doom is at a point of the game where he's pretty much unkillable.
Yeah.
5,000 gold lead now, 5-1 and 3 on this
Super
Draven.
far ahead. Random has the flank. He's going to find Varus and slam him into the rest of the team. It's an assisted body slam this time as Varus has dropped. Snitch has picked up the kill, and Acolyte can't group with the team quick enough. Queso are getting torn apart. It's a double kill for Snitch, and all the rest of Queso are going to drop. It's all too clinical in the late game for RixGG. They're going to push through the lane and take game 1.
Very, very clean game by RixGG. Their macro play at 7 on this Lee Sin was absolutely dominant. Went into the mid lane at level 1, got the flash, rotated to bot lane as well, and that is going to be game number 1 for RixGG.
An important game 1 for RixGG as well. Last year they had their struggles a little bit in the finals, going up against Queso, and at this point, it's a good start for them. It's a very, very good start for RixGG with an unconventional comp. I would say this wasn't what I was expecting out of RixGG, like with a Draven, and I mean the Singed was right. The set, I think, I was like, wow, I'm not expecting that. Is it like a sleeper OP pick? RixGG pull it out in game 1, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think in the best of 7, you can always like try these things in the first couple of games, kind of like a testing ground to see what you can get away with, because now Team Queso are like, okay, we have to ban away the Draven now, because Draven for Doom, even though he did get caught and he was a little bit over-aggressive at level 1, did get caught by the Dark Binding, but I think 7 on this Lee Sin, really, really dominant performance. That's basically his pocket pick champion. That's what he always plays in solo queue, and he was all around the map. He was mid lane, bot lane, top lane, being able to get the ganks and being able to get that early advantage for RixGG.
That game truly was the best of 7, and that might mean we only have 3 games, but there's a total 7 games to play. If RixGG keep that up, it could very well be a quick finals. We'll see if Queso can bounce back in game 2 when we come back from a break.
everyone, and welcome back to the WREC Championship Finals. RixGG took the first victory versus Team Queso, and we got to see some interesting picks coming through, such as the Dravens to watch.
Yes, the Draven for Doom. We know he could play these hyper carry champions, you know, like the Jinx, like the Queso that did get banned in that second ban phase. But he's like, okay, I'm in the final, I'm in the grand final. I'm going to play the Draven. And he did so well in that Draven.
You wanted to talk about, you know, the Draven and stuff, and he played amazingly, even though he got killed early in the game health level, because we got aggression since minute 1. I think we got kills in the top lane, we got kills in the dragon lane, but I think that I know the early game from RixGG was amazing.
Yeah, let's talk about Seven's Lee Sin. Like, oh my god, what an absolutely amazing Lee Sin. And we haven't seen many junglers pull off the Lee Sin. And the thing is, we saw Lee Sin being banned out against Seven earlier. We didn't quite understand why. We were like, why would you ban Lee Sin here, right? But now we get it. Now we get it. What a phenomenal player. He was ganking over and over and over again, making sure Snitch, Doom, and Random, all of them got ahead, and then they got ahead enough that they just won the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. This match, Seven was fantastic in that listen pick. That also, you know, it was a 7 with the listen, but also Snitch win the scenes. That was absolutely fantastic.
Snitch's Singe was so phenomenal this game. He just showed exactly how to play the champion. Just push out the mid lane, roam with your support and your jungler, and get yourself in the lead. I think Rix kind of, you know, cracked the code on how to beat Team Queso, because Team Queso has usually been winning a lot with those late game junglers, with the Graves, with the Jax in this game. And it's been difficult for teams to stop. Andrew said once he ramped up and got a lot of items. But I think Rix got a good plan. You know, you pick Lee Sin, you pick Draven, and you just stomp through the early game. You know, what is Andrew gonna do if he just can't get those items on these hyper carry late game champions? So I think Rix really found the formula.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to invest in your next composition more into the early game if you want to have a chance against RixGG, because the game plan was absolutely amazing. I think you got the early roams for Snitch. He bought the protocol just to have a little bit of extra damage to pull someone into his back in synergy with Listen. It was fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that early game was all about really, you know, Snitch and Seven, because Seven got that early level 1 before he even started his first jungle camp. It was like, okay, I'm going to go in level 1, I'm going to get Phaeos's flash. He then goes back to mid lane, he then gets the first blood. He then realizes that Joey and Rakan doesn't have the flash. Yep, flash. The flash is in the bot lane, sorry. Absolutely. He goes in the bot lane, he gets that, he goes in the top lane, and then he does the exact same thing. Really, really well played by Seven. You can see that this is his unique pick. This is a pick that we know that he can play. He's really, really strong on in the early game, and I feel like Team Queso have to come up with an early game draft now, because Rix are just going to do the exact same thing. They're going to focus on that early game, try and get their lanes ahead, and if they do, then Rix are just going to stomp this series.
But the question is, do you ban out the Lee Sin now?
I think, you know, Lee Sin might actually be one of the key picks for Rix this series, so I think there's definitely a chance we're going to see this ban, because Andrew was actually almost keeping up in goal with Lee Sin throughout the game, but it does not matter if Lee Sin is getting his other laners ahead. So I think, you know, Lee Sin might actually be something that TQ has to look to ban, because, well, they were not able to stop it in this first game. It is a best of 7 though, so they have time to see if they could maybe make the next game different. I think they have to ban it, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, and that's a great thing about a best of 7 series as well, is that you can play these crazy picks, you know, like Draven, like Lee Sin.
In the first game.
Exactly, yeah,
more
because
than
now
others.
Team Queso are playing on the back of their minds, do we have to ban the Draven? Do we have to ban the Lee Sin? And then it goes into this crazy situation where it's like another pick might be open instead. And I think Team Queso, because they lost this game, they're probably going to go on the red side again. They did give away that Karma as well, though, and I feel like Karma, when you have that carry in the duo lane, like the Draven, with all the movement speed, with the crowd control, and with that ultimate pulling the members together, it's really, really difficult for Team Queso to do that much.
And Karma was really great at this game, specifically because of the Singe, you know. We have Draven who wants to pick up the axes, we have Singe who wants to get into the front line and fling the teams ahead, and Karma can speed those championships, just AoE speed boost, you know. This champion was perfect for this team composition, and I don't think TQ can make the same mistake again of leaving Karma open.
And can we also talk about the Gold League Doom hat on that Draven? Because even though he got killed,
Draven, I mean.
even though he got killed, he was ahead by 5,000 gold in the end game, Noah.
It's Draven. I mean, if you can take your stocks, then you're gonna be absolutely great, guys. We're gonna head into the play of the game in this first match. Remember, this is a best of 7, so this is only the first match, and this is the fight, you know, all around the Herald pit.
And this is where Draven actually flashes over the wall and gets this first kill cooldown, which he needs to get that passive running. running, and you know that, Stuart, when you're fed on a Draven, you can really run with the game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he got the kill. He was a little bit caught in that early game.
Yes.
He didn't respect the dart binding from Joey in that early game, but when he got into the mid and the late game, he was able to get a few kills. Like Hel said, 5,000 gold lead on Draven.
Yeah,
when you get a few kills with Draven, when you get that passive rolling, it's so hard for anyone on Team Queso to do anything, because then he has the movement speed from the Karma, you have the Singed in the front line as well, flinging members back. And the Draven pick, honestly, could be really, really big for Doom in this series.
Let's see if he gets banned out. But now, guys, we're going to watch some Coca-Cola pop off in this first match of this series, because, I mean, we have plenty of exciting plays. And he goes, oh, that was a massive face breaker health.
Yeah, he used his face breaker, I believe, in Singe's second ability to make sure they just couldn't escape at all. And after that, it's just over. Random came from behind, you know, with his ultimate. And, you know, you call the fight done already then, because Doom is sitting in the backline, throwing those axes, dealing massive damage. And I mean, look at that. Cleo on the support screaming to his teammates, probably, go, 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 we got this. These guys are amazing.
Yeah, he had the power break, he had the Karma. You know, we knew that Karma was going to be huge into the series. Maybe not that much in the first one, but in the series is going to be a huge, important pick. Now we're going to go with Kamalan for the interview. Kamalan, who are you with?
Well, I'm here with Alke, coach for Team Queso. Welcome, Alke. Thank you for being here with us. So, we need to talk about this first game. A defeat for you in this series, best of 7, so nothing to be too worried about. But I want to know, what do you think went wrong during the game?
I think overall it's the same situation as we faced yesterday. First game is to test waters. First game is to check everything is correct and going well. I think reading them is very important as well for the very first game. So I think we can adapt for the rest of the series, to be honest.
That's something that has characterized Team Queso. We've been talking about it a lot, like how you are adapting to every single game and improving. But now you're facing RixGG, obviously a really powerful team. And I think what many people want to know is, yesterday you gave Yowie a Kai'Sa. What are the hyper carries, LK?
I mean, hyper carries are great. They come up when they should come up. I think that's all we have to say.
Okay, maybe next game, maybe, could be, potentially. And the last question I've got for you is, what is the plan for this game? First game lost, second game we want to win, obviously. I hope so. So how are we going to plan this?
I think it's going to stay up to doing our best and doing what we know.
Okay, so that's the Team Queso is special. Thank you very much, Helge, for that. Good luck in the next game. And I'm sending it back to the casters. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Carmeline. Darkbreaker joining me on the caster desk for Game 2 of our finals. Hyper carries show up when they need to, which is true. We know that it's hard to draft around them.
Maybe they need it right now.
Yeah, maybe they need it for Game 2 because Game 1 wasn't great. But what I would say is, like, for Elke's benefit, you know, to back him up a little bit, Kai'Sa was banned, Jinx was banned. Like, some of the actual ones were banned away there. So, Team Queso, now 0-1 down. Any other changes you want to see them make?
I definitely feel like the Singe and the Lee Sin picks were amazing, and they need to also focus on the Karma, because Karma is an enabler, and Karma also enables Doom to be on the hyper carry, since Karma gives all of her allies so much movement speed. So I definitely see they need to ban their Karma, and they need to think about something against the Lee Sin and against the Singe, because so far we have seen that Seven and Snitch, those two together, their synergy and the pick of potential was crazy in the early game.
Yeah, that focus around middle lane is just everything that RixGG played for in that early game. Just, you know, even from like level 1 Flash being down in middle lane is like so much harder for Veus to play it out, so much more difficult against a pick like a Singed, which, I mean, typically, Singe doesn't do a whole lot for the first, like, 5 levels or whatever. He just stands mid, kind of wave clears a little bit, and then aggressively, apparently, protobelts forward. This time around, actually getting the kills off mid lane. I wonder whether Singed goes up in priority now in order to get banned, because I think it's been very safe for Snitch, and I don't necessarily think it's that much of a problem, but maybe just change the playstyle a little bit. Like, Snitch has a massive champion pool. I don't think you can ban him out, but maybe this one pick would be enough. And Queso have opted for blue side. The losers have side selection, so Queso pick blue.
I mean, RixGG is probably just go for the standard bans, Karma, Olaf, and maybe the Camille. Team Queso is banning out Aurelia. They know that Seven, Snitch, and Random, all 3 of them can play Aurelia, and 7 has been spamming Aurelia a lot of times as well. They actually go for the Lulu ban. They try to deny the hyper carry team composition from Team Queso that they love to use. And there is the Sinch ban immediately, respecting Snitch.
Yeah, it comes through. Again, it's not going to affect Snitch to the point where like he's banned out of this game, but
Champion Ocean.
It changes the dynamic slightly now in middle lane. And I think it's really interesting. The Lulu ban on red side kind of tells us that RixGG aren't going to get baited into this game of playing Team Queso's meta. Queso will ban out the Lee Sin. There goes the Yuumi. RixGG just do not want Queso.
They expect that they want to rely on the Andres hyper carry team composition, so they're banning it out, forcing them onto the standard team composition. And maybe, Karma is open though, but we have seen that RixGG has been letting Karma open to go for other priority picks, like the Camille, Gragas is open as well, for example, Rakan is open.
And if they want it, the likes of Galio is up, and like we've always said that Galio Camille is a very strong combination with the Gragas as well. Like both of those picks can be a very strong frontline. So yeah, as mentioned, like these are very strong solo lane picks. Of course, Gragas can flex towards 7, but I don't think that's going to be the way. I think Snitch will be happy, just kind of chilling in the middle lane, having that Gragas.
I think this Riven pick is going to be on Andros. He picked it yesterday as well. We see Galio. Galio obviously can be picked in the mid lane as well as an APC, maybe in combination with Karma, so another flex pick. And Riven probably could also go for Acolyte, but I feel like it's more like a typical Andros pick.
So, is this a swap up now? We've seen RixGG, I think, wasn't it Random that played Nasus? It wasn't Senna Nasus, it was like they swapped it up towards the top side. So we've seen a bunch of different Senna lanes, and obviously they want to break Senna Galio. They do not want to let that combination through. So now we have to see what goes with the Senna for RixGG's side of things. A little bit different of a playstyle.
Okay, they're banning out some Baron laners right now. Since I assume it's gonna be Camille top lane, and Gragas can be everywhere. Can be mid lane, can be in the jungle, can be as APC as well with the Senna.
That's true. That's totally true. There's a lot of positions that it can be. Akali taken away. So the Akali being taken away indicates to me they think it might be Gragas bot lane here, right? Yeah. Because Akali otherwise wouldn't find a position in the draft with 2 solo laners.
I'm actually surprised they opt out for the Akali ban, because I feel like Galio is an amazing pick against Akali since he can just taunt her.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting interaction that we don't see too much with the Galio presence. Loving the music today. Good vibes. Good vibes for a Sunday afternoon on Championship. With maybe a little more hype towards the end of the series, but that Morgana ban, I think, is just another way of it's another weird one. I guess you can play AP with Senna.
I feel like Team Queso is also kind of unsure about what RixGG is going to go for, because RixGG has so many options. And at the same time, I love the bans from RixGG banning Acolyte out, his comfort pick like Darius and Renekton, that are decent matchups into the Camille.
Thematically appropriate drafting. Thank you, RixGG. Senna Lucian picked up the duo, the lovers. We'll see whether their fate is a little bit more...
I wonder if they're together, or if it's actually Snitch on the mid lane Lucian.
Could be, it could be. They might still have some distance between themselves. That's definitely the kind of pick that Snitch loves. He plays Akshan, a lot of these different champions that can hold up. Joey's going to pick up the Corki. We saw that a ton throughout the split for Joey. And now we're kind of finding out, is that Riven topside? I'm assuming a blind pick top lane is coming here. Something that's tanky, something that's front lane. That's why the Darius...
Garen's open, for example. It's a Shen pick.
Oh, we didn't even
that.
talk about it following the first game. They're denying some of that, Stand United potential with the Shen onto that single.
Yeah, they have double ultimates, double global ultimates, and Galio and Shen.
Yeah, Riven has a decent amount of protection from that as well, right? Like, Riven now has, like, a bunch of shields.
I feel like this is, like, again, a similar hyper carry composition with the Riven, and then you have the Karma, shield, and movement speed. You have the Shen shield, and then also Galio that can jump onto you.
Cats have 9 lives, but 7 wants Rengar to basically take them through this game. It's an odd pick. We don't see it too much. NA first pick Rengar. Sentinels are like, put it out there.
I mean, Rengar is interesting because he's picking it into a composition that has decent amount of core control, but obviously, if he finds the right flanks, he can one-shot the Karma. He could one-shot potentially Joey's Gags on his Corki as well. I think this is gonna be actually Camille top lane, then we have Gragas Senna in the bot lane, which is a super strong composition in the bot lane, and then just Lucian mid lane.
Okay, that would make sense from this draft. I think there's the window, though, I think, that if Rengar gets shut out of this game, he might never assassinate. anybody. Like, with so many shields and heals and taunts and jumps and dashes and all of this mobility that's on the side of Team Queso, I think the ability to find a fight is going to get a little bit lower if you don't snowball the early game.
There's also the build variation where you go for more tanky bruiser build on Rengar, which could fit into here depending on if he's snowballing. If he's snowballing, he can go for the standard lethality build just to one-shot people, but if he's falling behind, he could also go for more like bruiser build with a Black Cleaver, Divine Thunder, or maybe even a RixGG, which would make him a decent frontline as well.
I would love us to touch on that if we see it in-game a lot, because there was a time in PC when I was casting that people were trying to build like tank Rengar, but it really just on stage went down to all you were doing was throwing out the bowler and rooting one person, and you're like, doesn't really do anything else. But Wild Rift is a different game.
Yeah, to be fair, his base sets are crazy, so even if you build him tanky, he can do a decent amount of work. But I feel like C7, he's a player, he wants to go aggressive. He likes to go for the lethality build.
I'm totally expecting that to be the case, and we saw in the last game 7 pop off on that Lee Sin. This time around, it's going to be the Rengar out of the jungle, and we'll see whether Team Queso can get through this second game. Only 24% of our audience on Twitch chat actually believe that to be the case.
I think C7 is gonna go for the new, or should I say, quote new, full clear on the Rengar, since this way he's gonna get the level 5 as quickly as possible, ignoring the Scuttle, and then after he's level 5, he's gonna reset, get the items, and then the enemy jungler or the enemy team won't know where Rengar is gonna gank first.
Yeah, that's that potency of getting the ult early. There's champions like Rengar, like Vi, who are ultimately more enabled at that level 5 mark, is a big difference. We see Acolyte and Random trading in the top lane. These two are fighting pretty much for the title of top Baron laner in our region. I think Acolyte has had a better showing in this tournament than we saw in the regular split, but Random has just been consistent for so many weeks. Everybody has said he's the guy to beat, and there was a point in the middle where we were like, oh, Random maybe not quite as good, but he's really shown up in mid lane. Somebody's shown up.
I think he wants to gank top lane, actually. I thought he would go for the full clear, and right now I'm not sure what 7 wants to do here. Is he gonna go for the dive here?
He's shown on a ward. The full information is there that he is in this jungle. He's going to get spotted out now as Andre is here, forced to flash. Quick to get out, although Random has gone in over the wall. We're looking at bot lane from first blood, though, potentially, as Clue has backed away with Methanol back up to the top lane. Acolyte has managed to survive a little bit longer, and 7, despite the fact that all of that was about catching 7 out, he's still quite healthy. Random dropped low, no kills so far in game 2.
That was actually so close. The Random went back in, but Snitch had priority in the mid lane and droned, and Ori came with 4 Vejos, so that's how they managed to both barely survive, Random and Acolyte.
I love your pronunciation of Vejos. I mean, I can't do it. If we were speaking German, first of all, the cast wouldn't understand. Yeah. At least my pronunciations would be at least a little bit better after 6 years of living there, but certainly not good enough. Nevertheless, Team Queso right now, I think this early game probably is okay for them. Like, buying a little bit of time. Shen, of course, we know split pushes off Hullbreaker very effectively, like with that ultimate. He has that ability to cross the map like no other champion. Like, yes, okay, there's the Galio can do it, but the way that Shen can put a shield on somebody, come right from the opposite side of the map and appear right there in the team fight and taunt multiple people is really unmatched in Wild Rift at its current state. You have to invest into teleport boots if you want to do that type of thing on other
It's definitely going to be interesting how Random and Acolyte are going to play it out, because Random is on a hyper carry split pushing champion that can actually beat Shen, even if Shen is building Hullbreaker. And if I feel like that's the reason why 7 actually didn't go for the full clear and tried to gank Random instead.
It's trying to get Methanol now. Methanol dropping low, and that's going to be first blood going over to Doom. It's the opposite of the last game, as Clue will get run down on the back end, and they're feeding perhaps kills over to Andre. It's a double kill over to Joey as well, and 3 quick kills. Turn that back around in Team Queso's favor.
I think there was definitely miscommunication on Rick's part, that 7 wanted to play more aggressive, but they were not in a position and they got collapsed on. And that is huge for Team Queso, getting a gold lead already, and 2 kills for that Corki.
Yeah, this was the engaged 7 being a little bit far forward. You can see 4 members of Queso were here.
Clue missed the combo. He flashed over the wall with his dash, but he missed it.
Listen, the combo, and you know what? It's been a while since we've seen some Gragas support. We see it from time to time, but we've seen a lot of it mid lane at the tournament this weekend. So perhaps a little bit of getting used to back onto a champion that has just that very specific combination. And that was kind of a symptom of what we've seen. When I look at what 7 was doing, it feels like he kind of just assumes he has the same control that he had in the last game on the Lee Sin, where it's just like, I'm ahead, I'm just going to counter jungle and go into the enemy jungle and try and kill everyone. But he's actually 0-0-0 at that point on Rengar early on before any items, so gets caught out, doesn't have the damage, and we saw that a few times from RixGG. That was one of their
that's typical for 7, that sometimes the miscommunication is there.
Yeah, now it's bottom lane that Snitch is trying to get himself out of this. It's an overextension from Andre for a moment, but the Galio ult has made the entrance oh so sweet. Killing spree for Joey.
Team Queso is snowballing and rotating so well, and Joey on his comfort Corki pick already 3-0 has the Stormrazor finished up. That's gonna be trouble for RixGG.
Big trouble for RixGG as Rift Herald pushed in the bottom lane. That may mid lane, I should say, may turn this back around. But Andre throwing everything into this fight to try and get Snitch, and they do end up coming away with kills.
I like actually that RixGG is at the same time getting their turret and securing their mid turret.
Yeah, they get that mid turret to exchange it, and I mean, we
almost. Oh, never mind. I thought they would get it, but we won the replay. 600
health. That Rift Herald does not finish it from full health on it.
Yeah, this is very good for Team Queso then, since they didn't get the mid turret, and now they got the first turret, and the next Dragon Team fight is gonna happen.
Yeah, Snitch is already here though with the rest of RixGG, and they can take it down quite quickly. Lucian has quite high damage when you're using his abilities there. Just
Team Queso is actually trading and trying to get the top turret instead.
Yeah, I think that is going to open up the map a little bit more for Acolyte to split push. You mentioned though that Camille can typically handle Shen. The later the game goes, we'll see whether Veos can handle 7 as he gets pulled back. Fighting a Rengar around a bush is not a very advised thing to do. 2 members of Queso up here try and sidestep some of the damage.
Oh, Random's
going to sidestep some of the damage, but will get taken out, and it's all Team Queso.
I think there was a bad decision by Random trying to defend a turret that is almost down, and 2 vs 1 obviously he is already behind. He is not going to be able to defend it, and he's already 1000 gold behind. Against the Shen, and Shen is probably just gonna go for the Divine Thunderer right now. He's super tanky, and I feel like 1 vs 1, considering that Random is so behind, he is probably not gonna be able to push super deep into the Shen and apply the pressure that he needs to do on that Camille.
Well, this was the comfort position for Team Queso yesterday in their series, their 3-1 win over Gamelord to advance to this grand finals. Their comfort position is Joey ahead from that Dragon Lane on a champion that scales into the late game like the Corki, Andre ahead out of the jungle, and then 3 champions that will basically amplify everything that they're doing. You've got shields, you've got heals, you've got crowd control, you've got everything to protect those 2 carries, and it just means that as long as one of them stays alive, they can win the late game fights, and Joey has been doing that fantastically from yesterday into this second game.
It's going to be very hard for RixGG Gaming right now, since they are already 4000 gold behind, and I feel like Team Queso's rotation has been really good. They are rotating well, they are trading the objectives like they have to do. 2 turrets right now into their favor, they open up the map, they can apply more pressure, and Shen can apply even more pressure compared to that Camille that needs the turret. If the turret is not open for him, it's going to be hard for him to push deep into the map, and Shen can just always join with his ultimate.
So I will concede, first of all, I'm not a jungler, second of all, I'm not a Rengar player. Essence Reaver Stinger, is that what we're expecting from this build from 7?
He is going for a crit Rengar build, and I don't think that's a good decision when you're so behind already. He is at 5000 gold.
Yeah, and we'll see how it pays off in this fight, because already the first kill has gone down, and that crit build is not going to allow him to survive any longer in that fight, and it's all Queso all the time. Snitch is going to try and put the culling down on the side, but at this point it's just tickling the health bars from Team Queso. They will be able to push through mid lane. They'll look for more off this fight, and it's Rift Herald 2 coming up in 30 seconds.
Team Queso is just snowballing so hard, playing the map perfectly, getting 3 turrets already, and I love the combination of Karma and Riven actually. Since Karma gives her allies movement speed and shield, it makes Riven so easy to catch up to Lucian and Senna, and he does so much damage in those teamfights.
Yeah, you get that flash dash stun combo, and then on top of you is like a Shen that when he shows up, it's a multi-person taunt. Like when you look at the distance that Queso can engage from, and then the follow-up of Galio and Shen with everything in their kit, like it's hard for RixGG to be anywhere near Queso and survive.
I think the pick that makes the difference is Karma. In both games we have seen so far, the team that has Karma has the rotation advantage.
Well, you're totally right. And I am 100% on board, but that's not a surprise to anybody, right? Karma's been banned in any game.
Yes, there's a reason why she's always banned.
And we're seeing why Snitch is getting run down here in the bottom lane as 2 kills have gone off already to Team Queso. Good stun on the back line. It's going to turn this back around, and RixGG have survived a little bit longer. 7, he found the crits seemingly in that exchange. Will pick up 2 kills and are going to slow Team Queso. Team Queso maybe had bit off more than they can chew.
Team Queso is getting too overconfident, and this might cost them. And I mean, it definitely cost them the Mountain Dragon, but if you are in a lead position, you don't want to give anything.
Damage coming through, and he's done it! Andres has stolen the Mountain Drake away, and it's all that they needed. Double kill for Queso. Methanol runs down Snitch in the bottom lane. A triple kill comes through for Andre, looking to pick up the 4th of this fight as Random will hookshot his way away, but you can't run for now. Andre gets the dash, but it's not enough.
There is a reason we call Anders that one of, if not the best jungler in Europe right now. He is so crazy. 508. That's 100% kill participation on him.
Random gonna try and dodge some of the damage, but that's 4 people there. And I've got to say it, Andres is the only true jungle carry in the EMEA region for Wild Rift. Other junglers can carry, but Andre will reliably carry when given enough resources and gold, and that's what Team Queso put into him.
There's a reason why Team Queso trusts him so much with the hyper carry.
Yeah, and it pays off here. This is exactly the team fight.
Did you see that flash flash done by him? He jumped in, he steals it, and he flash jumps on top of them. That was so quick. Mechanically, Andrezet is a superstar.
He is a superstar, and we will get to see him on the world stage for the Icons Global Championship. Both of these teams have already qualified. We now need to figure out their seeding, and more importantly in my mind, for now, at least for today, we need to figure out who will be the first ever WREC champions.
And Acolyte and Andrezet actually have the chance to qualify back-to-back for the international. I mean, they already qualified, but I mean, get the first title, like the champion, like double champion.
Yeah, exactly. We have seen glimpses, of course, of Andre in the past. I kind of feel like this. Maybe I'm misremembering last year. I know Andre has been good for a while and people have respected him for a very long time, but I feel like this Queso play even more around their jungle, and it's like a very specific play style where they're just like, we don't care what you play for RixGG, and like with all of these supports, it's worked out in this game. Wards getting cleared out from the top side. Now Team Queso are going to try and push this down. No Baron available for a little while longer as the teams are moving top side. Shen on the bottom lane, no Hull Breaker yet, has gone more towards full tank, is trying to absorb some of that presence. Ooh, good explosive cast. Is going to open this team fight out. Stasis matched from both sides. Galio's going to break the fight up as Methanol puts himself right in harm's way, but Joey's already died, and that perhaps is the moment the RixGG want to turn this back around. Shen has stayed in the bottom lane though, and if RixGG don't kind of commit to this fight or don't get anything more, at least it'll release pressure on Acolyte's side of the Rift. He's going to be able to push out and deny RixGG anything bot side.
That was actually really well played by Clue on the Gragas, picking out Joey with his ultimate.
Oh, Feos is forced to flash away. It's going to be another pick, though. Stasis out from Andre. He's going to get a shield. He's going to have damage. There's the Karma ult on top of it, and 7. He healed so much, but it just got shredded back down again, and Random is having to get away. It looked so good for RixGG at first, but all of the utility comes back through. You cannot kill Andre.
They are rushing the Baron right now, and Joey also picked up the package. This is gonna be a very, very hard fight for them, and they need to somehow steal it. If they don't steal it, Team Queso is gonna win this game.
That looked ridiculous. Andre was just like, right, I'm gonna get the plant as well. Look at these mechanics over the back of the wall. Andre, I said you can't kill him, but he's ticking down. 1 health, he's going back in. He secures it. Now the rest of RixGG are trying to get away from the situation. How did Andre survive in that situation? Literally 1 HP, and he still secures his team's Baron.
Andrezet never loses Baron. He is so clutch when it comes to securing Barons.
Clutch, and it came through again. 8 seconds on the next dragon of the game. It is not the Elder Drake. That is something that we should keep in mind. We're a few seconds shy of that spawn being in time, and Ooh, I mean, Team Queso, it feels like, 12,000 gold is one of the largest leads we've seen all weekend long, and Queso coming back firing in Game 2. 7, you think that's your jungle, but that's not really that safe a spot. He's going for the flank as Acolyte will fight against Random. Hullbreaker's not doing too much. 7's jumped in. 7's trying to find Joey, and if he can get it, this would be an all-important kill. The exhaust comes out from Joey with the flash. It denies the kill, it denies the engage, and it's going to deny a clean sweep from RixGG, because it looks like it's all about Team Queso. Acolyte is running down Random through the jungle as well as Team Queso push the first inhibitor of the game, and they're looking to end this one.
Yep, this is looking so badly. And the Rengar that is behind and building a crit build can't kill Joey, who has a Baron buff and who is super fat. And now they're knocking Ori on 2 tier 3 turrets, and if they group up in the top lane, they can just secure the last one, and I think this is just gonna be the game.
Exhaust saves lives, and you saw it there from Joey Skaggs. As soon as 7 jumps towards him, Exhaust comes down. The rest of Team Queso gonna regroup as Veos on the front line is gonna stasis for a moment. 2,000 health on this top inhibitor, and that means all 3 are down as RixGG are going to have super minions streaming into their base, but it won't even matter for too much longer because Team Queso are going to take us to a 1-on-1 series. Team Queso put their first win on the board against RixGG.
It's Karma. Karma is just so strong, and we've seen it in both games right now. Karma's damage, Karma's utility value is like just giving all of her teammates movement speed and shield makes it so hard for them to keep up with the rotation from Team Queso.
There's a very, very well-known saying about Karma. A lot of people talk about it, you know?
Just banner.
Karma's a ban.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it live on stream. You think I'm going to get fined or suspended or whatever it is. I'm not about to swear. I say that. Let's see how this series goes for the rest of it. I think that was what Team Queso needed, really, to settle themselves. They play their own game with the Enchanters. They get themselves a win in Game 2. Let's see after the break if this series continues going Queso's way. It's 1-on-1, map 3 coming up in a few minutes.
Steady blazing. Sabes de sobra que pienso los vines. Estamos volando, somos los 20, somos canarios, estamos orgullosos. La vida crema, no estamos tristes. Desde la pista nos viste, bailando tú no te resistes. Desde Barranco Seco, estamos llegando todo lejos.
Trabajando en pijama y sin pensar en nada. Llega el fin de semana y todos nos miran mal. Bonitos nos saludan, yo sé que piensan mal. La envidia me la suda, no hay nada que demostrar.
Sabes de sobra que pienso en los business. Estamos volando, somos los cisnes, libres delfines, estamos gozando. La vida loca, no estamos tristes. Venimos de abajo, lo viste. Las manos manchadas con tizne. Mucho trabajo y esfuerzo, estamos masticando ese hueso. Estamos en el goce, tú ya no conoces. Antes en un cuarto, ahora en un estudiazo. Incluso estamos viajando, cosas que antes no. Yo lo quiero todo, da igual me bajo el bajo. Vivo el día de mi suerte, tiempo y salud, no solo billetes. Estamos fuegote, vamos a hacer que se note. Que la gente alborote, que brinque, baile, se lo pasen crema. Que brinquen, baile, las manos se choquen. Que brinquen, baile, estamos en el goce. En una fiesta eterna, con todos mis colegas. Antes pa' una botella, ahora toditas llegan. Estamos en el goce, tú ya no conoces. Antes en auriculares, ahora en los altavoces.
Hasta las 5 PM, yo quiero sonar PRD. Ya estoy sonando en la isla, quiero viajar los weekends. Tú checa cómo lo muevo, si quieres llámame Evo. Con un flow como parcero, el más cabrón de los nuevos. Me arrebato por lo que consigo, me la vivo aunque no me motivo. Ya no me voy a comparar contigo, solamente yo ahora Dios le pido. Come suelo, por ti ya no me desvelo. Se está bien en el cielo, puesto pa'l sandungueo. Trabajando en pijama y sin pensar en nada. Llega el fin de semana y todos nos miran mal. Bonitos nos saludan, yo sé que piensan mal. La envidia me la suda, no hay nada que demostrar. Si no te gusta lo siento, la mala vida me gusta. Lo llevo dentro, si yo puedo vivir de esto. Voy pa' la tumba cantando después de muerto. Álvaro partiendo la pista y no estoy en lista, pero estoy en puerta más. Con cubata y con par de amigas, conformando el combo que nunca se deja. Hasta las 5 PM, yo quiero sonar PRD. Ya estoy sonando en la isla, quiero viajar los weekends.
esto Facto Music, chat, ¿dónde suena esto? Esto será un récord, papá. Y mira, si me censuran ahora porque tengo un flow bien abusado. ¿Qué pasó? Producto canario como el Morote, ¿oíste? Pria, estamos en la subida de la vida, ¿oíste?
Shoot the gifts to show 'em what you got. Shift 'em from the spot, lift 'em up. Until you see 'em break through. That's right, come on. Why? You know we're gonna break through.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the WREC Championship Finals. We got a tie series after Team Queso's victory in the second map of the series so far. We got several changes coming through, Stuart, and I want to talk about Team Queso's rotation.
Yeah, Team Queso, they picked the blue side in this draft, which I think was really, really well played by them, because then RixGG had to ban the Lulu, the Yuumi, and the Olaf, which means Karma was open again. Second game in a row now that Karma's been open. And Team Queso are like, okay, we'll take that. RixGG got the Camille in response as well on the Gragas, but it just wasn't good enough.
And the Camille was so important because it was played in the mid lane by Vejas, and it brought a lot of pressure in that lane.
Yeah, Karma was so strong. We've seen it in Game 1 how good Karma can be, and in Game 2 as well. Karma is just the power pick. There's a reason why Karma was banned every single time. Karma provides so much poking damage, and at the same time, she has so much utility, giving movement speed and shielding to her allies, and that's how Team Queso was always quicker on the map. They just out-rotated RixGG completely, just getting those objectives left and right without getting punished.
We got a lot of focus in the jungle in this game because we had the Riven who was really cracked while Andres said, but in the other side, Rengo wasn't having fun, exactly.
Rengar's been a really powerful pick in a lot of other regions, especially in NA and also in China, and I think the reason for Rengar being so strong is especially because of the build. You can pick Black Cleaver, Divine Sunderer, Death Dance, and you could be really tanky while doing a lot of damage. Seven did go for the Essence Reaver Trinity Force build, which I don't personally like. But I think, you know, Rengar being the 5th pick of RixGG, which means like this was their last piece of the puzzle, and it didn't really work out for them, even though I like the idea of it. They had 3 really strong laners in Lucian, in Camille as well, and you know, Rengar just usually wants to just do a full clear and then, you know, go from there, gank his different laners. But they went for an early die, which did not work out, and TQ snowballed from there.
Yeah, definitely the Rengar was... I was kind of surprised that 7 didn't go for the full jungle clear. Yeah. He tried to snowball and help Random out, because obviously he wants to get the Camille head. He wants Shen to be behind. He wants to get Camille so head that he can always push into the Shen, and Shen will be late for those team fights, but it didn't happen. He was so late with his jungle clear, being 3 minutes for getting level 5, and that just was so bad if you're playing Rengar that who wants to snowball in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely, and I have to say that they also were quite sloppy in the early aggression. I mean, they were punished by Team Queso, and there was no way back.
Yeah, there was the early ultimate by Rengar in the bot side of the map around that red buff, where Rengar jumped in onto the Galio, didn't really get to do too much, and then Snitch flashed over the wall. I think it was also Clue that flashed over the wall as well, but they just went over-aggressive, and I feel like that over-aggression and the kind of overconfidence really for RixGG as well could maybe be a little bit too much. I mean, you can see Veos' damage here as well on Karma. I mean, if you're on the side of RixGG now, obviously they lost this game. What side do you go? Do you go blue side now? Because then that means that maybe Team Queso have to ban out the Karma. I think this best of 7 series going back and forth and the adaptations that both these teams are doing could mean that blue side is actually going to be the powerful side in this series.
We expected literally this when we came into this series, a bit of back and forth, but I actually want to highlight also the fact that Team Queso was playing such a composition for them. We get to see Acolyte once again in the Shen, who was crucial to support and reset in the Riven.
The picks that have been working for Team Queso so far, you know, the Shen where Acolyte got the pentakill, the Riven has been a really important pick, which Hell's Devil also talked a lot about. And obviously the Karma is, you know, one of these enchanters. Veas likes to play the Lulu usually in the mid lane, and Karma kind of works the same way. So, you know, this composition from Team Queso, you know, we know they're used to it, we know they're comfortable on it, and to top it off with the cherry on the top, you know, Corgi on WREC.
Yeah, a lot of comfort coming through, guys. Now, let's see which one was the play of this game, the second map of the best of 7 between Team Queso and RixGG. And it was this team fight the Sword in the mid lane. There was a lot of goal advantage in here.
Andres doing so much much damage once again. As the hyper carry, the combination of Riven with the Karma, giving him so much movement speed so he can catch up with the backline of RixGG team comp. And we have seen it so far. Analyst has been performing every single game. He is the hyper carry. That's why Team Queso is always trusting him. No matter what team comp, he will carry. And that's why they also like to build the hyper carry team compositions around him, like the Lulu pick, the Yumi pick. And we've seen RixGG respects it and bans them out.
And that's also why RixGG has to ban the Lulu and the Yumi, because those are the enchanters that makes a super carry strong. And, you know, it gives Team Queso a really strong position in draft. When there's 2 champions, you have to ban every single time. Otherwise, Analyst is going to run off with the game. But, I mean, this game, he ran up with it anyways.
Let's check out, guys, now on the Coca-Cola pop-off in this game. I want to ask you, Stuart, what do you think that is RixGG doing for the next game? Because it's going to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, Rick's been on the losing side. It'd be interesting to see whether they're going to pick on the blue side or whether they're going to pick on the red side. But I want them to go back to what they're comfortable with. I want them to go back to these picks they're comfortable with. I don't want to see, you know, these Rengar picks, Lucian mid as well. Yes, they can play them. Yes, they have a very wide champion pool. But at times you can see that, like, sometimes that bit of overconfidence can bite back. And against Team Queso as well, they're just going to punish you with the picks like the Riven on Andre.
Beware with the overconfidence. But guys, we're going to head until the 3rd game of this series. So now it's time to our casters.
Thank you very much, Noah. Getting ready for our 3rd game of this series. Stress joined by Carmeline, and I'm checking for any sneaky production changes to my lower third when you bring it in. I've seen the tweets, I've seen the screen caps. One day I'll be challenger, and then you'll have to put that there, and I'll make everybody introduce me as being challenger. Anyway, Carmeline. Okay, it's normal. Fine. All right. You get away with it this time, production. Carmeline, game 3. Now, it's a 1-on-1 series, so that's important for Queso, for their mentality, right?
Yeah.
Coming into this now, you're not going to get swept. You know, you're not going to go through and get 0 wins. So, Queso, I know you're quite familiar with the team. How do you think they're going to be riding that high coming into game 3?
Well, I think whenever we actually watch the players just come back to the stage to sit down again, you will expect it to get to them, like that euphoria of winning the first game in the series. I mean, like, oh, I've done so well. But I actually think they've been able to keep their head cool and like, okay, we need to focus on the next one. We need to know what to do now. And I have to say, I always see them so calm and collected. It's surprising to me that they're able to keep their heads, knowing that it's a series of 7 games most.
Especially like the photographs from yesterday, like the PogChamp Joey face that everyone was spamming on Twitter. I'm like calm and collected, and then popping off. So we'll see where the mental of the Team Queso stays where it is. This is what they're playing for, of course, the Wild Rift EMEA Championship trophy. It is beautiful, and I'm sure both teams will eagerly await that. I think our other team that we're taking a look at now, RixGG, I think may even want it just that extra little bit from the past. You know, when you're carrying a little baggage through and you're like, I have to win it this year because they stole it from me last year. Even though technically, obviously, Origin Series was Europe specific and this is the EMEA region. I think RixGG, they want this revenge, right? They want to close this series out.
Absolutely. I think when they've won the second game, you always get that feeling of like, I need revenge now. I need to take it back from them. I need to make it this time, even though the roster has changed a little bit. And obviously, you can show them now with a different draft. Probably, we hope so, because the last one wasn't so perfect.
We're certainly getting a different draft because now the analyst asks question about does blue side go up in priority actually does get answered. RixGG, of course, being the losers of the last game, had side selection. They will take blue side. That was where they started this series. They banned out Lulu, they banned out Olaf, they banned out Yumi. I'm going to assume it's going to stay the same. Team Queso will continue to ban out Singe now after a Game 1 win for RixGG on that. Karma is the interesting one because I think Queso are going to be forced to ban it. I think Karma has to go onto the ban list, as well as now that Lee Sin is now not available in this game.
I'm really liking how teams have lost the fear that they used to have for Karma, who used to be banned all the time, and now they're opening up a little bit about picking it. However, for example, this Irelia, we've seen her several times working in the mid lane and the Baron lane. She's gonna be banned this time around, as well as the Yumi. which honestly makes complete sense for what we've seen of RixGG, who are gonna be picking Camille as a first choice for themselves. It's worked quite well in the past. They played it twice in this tournament and the hands of random, and honestly it's a good start. Karma, as your prediction.
I'm surprised to see Karma get all the way through to the first rotation, right? It's like, Camille I think makes total sense. Like you were talking about the draft so far. Riven I like as well. Riven Karma, really solid composition that we just saw in the last game pay off so well for Andre. Now it's going to be the Gragas picked up. This is very similar to our last game. Camille, Gragas, it would be Senna that you would anticipate built in here. Galio is available as well. There it is, as we say it. So I'm going to guess from the side of Team Queso they banned Senna in the second phase of this draft because we're expecting bot lane carries.
Exactly, we need to see Yui again on a hyper carry or on some sort of carry. We've seen the Shen that worked so well for Acolyte in the series with the pentakill and in the last game. I think it's quite well rounded up because with the Karma you're giving movement speed to the rest of the team. With the Shen you're giving an incredible capacity for macro playing from Team Queso. So again, good synergy, but the bans coming through. 6 Vayne.
Vayne being the ban, not the Senna this time around, as we're going to take that away from Doom. Doom hasn't played the Vayne, but he's played the Jinx, he's played the, I think, a Tristana game here and there. Morgana now banned out as well from RixGG's side of things. That's the Leona picked off after we didn't even touch on the Shen much to begin with, which has worked. So now we get to see RixGG answering now. Okay, is it a Jinx game? I don't know whether it's a Jinx game. Senna's up, and Senna Galio has been so strong that if you go Senna and then like a scaling jungler from here, I'm looking to see whether Jax is up. That would be one option. I know Ryu and I had a conversation in the game. Scaling coming from the Kai'Sa. We'll see. I want to see an early game jungler here. I think is my my highest priority in my mind for RixGG. Game 1 looked so much better.
I mean, I think it's looking quite well rounded up with the Kai'Sa. She's bringing you that hyper carry that we've been asking for, but in the side of RixGG, with the Galio, you're gonna have so much control in lane, and they're gonna be clothed with the Ahri. I'm
so
happy about it.
That means Gragas is going to the jungle.
He is indeed. We've seen Seven be playing it before, earlier during this tournament, during these group stages. Just once. But hey, it's something, I think it worked pretty well. Then they decided to go for other options like the Morgana and the Vi. But for now, it's gonna be enough time for Team Queso to choose the Varus.
Okay, am I picking my shot? Am I calling my shot and saying that's going to be AP Varus from Champion Select, or am I going to wait and see whether he builds a dagger first?
I mean,
or do I just put it out there and then either way, it's okay. What I was going to say about that is this Ahri pick into the Karma. I think, like, Snitch, even though we don't see him play a whole lot of Ahri, I think Ahri's one of those champions that I'm like, sure, he can play it, it's fine. And against Karma, there aren't too many matchups from the middle lane that I'm aware of that actually push her out of lane. Karma just is very consistent with the amount of damage and utility she has.
Absolutely, and I think as the game goes on, then she becomes more of a secondary supporter the rest of the team. She can also assist quite well at top lane, which is going to be needed by Acolyte with a Shen. And in front of them, we've got actually a Camille and a Gragas, which, again, you have quite a bit of range, and I think Camille will be able to get past enough to mid lane. But I'm not sure if that's what I will want to choose as a counter for this composition I think is proposing.
That's a fair point. And not only that, the range they can cover with their engage, the follow-up is there as well. Kai'Sa plus like Galio on top of it, like everybody jumping into the backline. Like backline threat is something that Varus really hates. Varus struggles when he has no flash and no escape.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that they're gonna be facing in this one game. It's kind of like Galio when you think about it, like you go the all in, but you didn't go the all out.
Yeah.
When you commit, you commit.
One Direction, there is no way out. I was about to show my age and talk about One Direction. But
I was about to talk about this.
Everybody watching is way younger than me, and I think I'm going to upset people's opinion on that. So I'm just going to move into game. For game 3 between RixGG and Team Queso. Let's see how this is going to go between these two teams. RixGG, of course, will be looking for game 3 to pick up in order to take a 2-1 lead. Team Queso trying to ride that momentum from the last game, and so far Joey has built AD. So clearly, I mean, we know that AP Varus plays very well into tanks. I mean, there's kind of tanks on the side of RixGG, but the early game is where Joey should have a little bit of presence in this lane. You have to feel like Leona and Varus together, if they do find an engage, they can put out a lot of damage, lock someone down, and take them out very quick.
Yeah, absolutely. You use the Zenith Blade and then the Solar Flare, and you've got the enemy locked down for a good kill. However, the lane that is also worrying me here is the Var lane, as we can see here with the Shen and the Camille. I think those two are going to have such potential to split push and perhaps take the game to an end.
Yeah, and we saw in our second game there, this was Camille Shen, the matchup for the teams in the last one. And what happened was, because of the jungle presence from Andres towards Acolyte and just kind of like the gold that was given over in general from being so far ahead, Acolyte won that matchup. And Darkbreaker was talking about how Camille can scale into the late game and really have control over the side lane, despite the fact that we know Shen can teleport. The most important thing about that is, like, Random never got to that point. He was pretty much always behind off those first few fights that started going Team Queso's way, and Queso snowballed through.
Yeah, I remember him being quite behind in gold, which obviously gives an advantage and edge to the enemy team. And another thing that I want to touch upon is the paving for both junglers. As you can see here, 7 is rotating towards the upper side of the river, trying to help a little bit both his top laner, Random, and Snitch, you know, keeping a good control in there. And Andres is doing the opposite. He's more focused on the red side right now. But I want to know what will happen once they get to that mid lane.
Yeah, both opting for a crab start as well. Even though Gragas is kind of one of those jungles that when you hit level 5 and get access to your ultimate, it's a significant change in his ability to play. He's level 4 currently, kind of hovering top side to see whether Acolyte overextends, but with no real aggression in that lane, Acolyte is going to back himself away. That Stand United is available though, so always got to look at these first moments of the game where Shen, or at least you know, anyone has access to their ult where it's not available on the other side. Clue is very low, and that means Joey would be loving to charge up his piercing arrow right now, but I'm going to guess it's on cooldown from a previous exchange as Methanaut tries to zone out behind the tower.
Yeah, for now it's going to be good enough to push a little bit under the tower. It's been a quite calm game without any kind of face-to-face between both teams. Starting with the teamization, it's been 3. We can see already some AP being built between these teams. Kindle Gems over there for Acolyte, Sun over, good resources of mana for both. And I think it's also important to consider, by the way, we've got the exhaust and both Boom and Joey's, and this is going to be crucial once the game starts rolling into the team fights.
Yeah, Dragon Laner Exhaust has shown a lot of prominence in this weekend's games, especially when you look at the likes of a Riven jungle, where you're trying to get the kill onto the Dragon Laner very quickly, as Random... don't know whether that was exactly what I was expecting to do up in the top side, but Riven getting exhausted immediately as she jumps in prevents so much of her damage. As it comes out, there's no burst to really be found, and it really keeps them alive. Varus with the fancy footwork is going to dodge the barrel from SE7. And I was going to say that I think perhaps one of the reasons why Team Queso are going for Varus and they're going to go aggressive is exactly this point, is if they can snowball the early game, if they can get ahead and stay ahead, that's how they won game 2. Piercing arrow with a... No, not enough damage onto Clue. That was so close. I was wondering whether there was anything to tick down. Methanaut has his Ignite available, but I guess he wasn't expecting it to be quite that close.
Well, I mean, this leaves Team Queso to take the program freely, rotate towards the mid lane, perhaps try to stop the Herald from RixGG before they can end it. And indeed, Random is going to have to run away from the area, and so he's 7 because he's cornered.
Oh, Acolyte off the Taunt Flash is going to lock him in place. It's going to be First Blood going down to Team Queso. I believe they even get the Dragon at the same time. Random has now been caught. It was 7 that was caught first. Now it's Random caught for a double kill for Acolyte, and it happened in the last game where Acolyte took control, and now maybe it's happening again, although from long range, Doom has taken one down. Doom has taken the Herald, and RixGG, maybe that's enough to keep him in this fight. Andre's going to push down on that bottom lane tower, though.
Yeah, in the meantime, RixGG is going to be using the Herald in the mid lane, which is, as we know, one of the strongest lanes, the one that you really want to open in order to get to Nexus. But it's Room and Doom and Snitch alone, and here Methanaut is going to arrive with the Bayos. They take down the tower, but still Team Queso retains quite a good control. Look at all the vision they've got around the enemy jungle, around the river. So I think it was a good start to play for them.
And the control that Queso have, 1,100 gold on this top lane matchup. For Acolyte against Random, that's going to give him a lot of time now to push this Camille matchup in his favor. You know, Darkbreaker was saying, takes time to get to the late game, but once she's there, Camille is fine. She can hold the side lane. This time now, you've got Acolyte likely to turn that matchup a little bit more in his favor early. This time, though, RixGG are going to actually prioritize punishing Acolyte. Snitch is trying to flash away, will dash away from the solar flare. Now top side, Acolyte was on his own. He was solo, no flash, couldn't get him out, but they've traded. They found Snitch, despite the fact that he was able to get over the wall. Oh, Chains of Corruption land, but Joey is 1 versus 2 in this situation, and then it's a third over the wall as Clue is here. Wasn't even needed for the kill, and it's scrappy on both sides of the map, but RixGG pick up topside kills as Queso dive bot.
Yeah, they're gonna be exchanging towers right here. Andres is gonna be wave clearing in the mid lane. By the way, Andres already has the Divine Sunder, which is obviously gonna help him get more damage on his side. Acolyte has been able to collect the Sunfire, gives the Sunfire cape right there. You know, a little bit of tankiness as the game asks for. And something that I'm also finding interesting in what we're seeing throughout this game is how they kind of have avoided a full 5 versus 5, which I expected so soon. But at the same time, with the compositions that they both have, you will think Team Queso has all the potential in order to find one of these plays.
Well, I think part of the strength is RixGG have been avoiding a lot of those 5v5 fights, and you can see Snitch, this was on the bottom side, how he got caught kind of walking up the bush, used all of his mobility, flash, dash, everything gets him away. Oh, and Andres just chases him down over the wall. All of that mobility that Snitch has is just, you know, counted out by the Riven and topside. Doom at this point had his double swords, you know, makes total sense with your Cathian Rain. And I don't know, Kai'Sa builds are always so janky. I know how this one goes. You end up getting a Storm Razor, you end up building it in. It's all fine. I'm not actually calling out the build. I just feel like the thought process of having 2 giant swords that fire lasers at people is a little bit thematically opposite.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting one to see. Let's see how it plays out in Kai'Sa, who, by the way, also has the Ecstasy, so even more craziness going on for this champion. But
Full AP Gragas is an interesting one so far. It's Luden's Echo to start the matchup off. It's not the tank item that we've seen a little bit on Gragas. So what that will do, however, is mean that there's not so much of a tanky front line the later we go. Of course, Galio's there. Gragas is there with his innate tankiness, plus a little bit of bruisiness on Camille. I think I just made that word up. As there's an engage from Methanol onto Snitch. Snitch going to dash his way away. And nothing's been wrong with Snitch's Ari, but I feel like he hasn't had the impact that he needed to through the early game.
Now, we used to see the Snitch as is tremendously. I'll tell you later about this.
Oh, cooldown use 7. Of course he was going to body slam that. I think Methanol was expecting to have landed crowd control before the solar flare to hold him in place for even longer. A little bit of stacking doesn't quite land, and Queso are going to push down the top tower. They have a cannon minion, should be enough.
Yeah, absolutely. The dragon is already there, though, and RixGG seems to be rotating towards the area, leaving Acolyte alone in the dragon lane.
They do not want to let you talk in this game, as 7 is hell-bent on defending topside, and that means 7 is going to die under tower. Andres keeps going forward. He doesn't even try and back himself away from that situation. That's actually going to put Clue in a situation. Stand United from the opposite side of the map is enough, and now it means Team Queso may very well just all in on this next inhibitor. Maybe they want to just keep pushing. I feel like Andres was backing away, though. Stand United use, that is a big cooldown, but Dragon goes over to RixGG in the meanwhile.
It does. It evens out a little bit things, even like the same goal for both of them, same number of towers, same number of dragons. Perhaps this next hero could be next objective they're looking forward to. RixGG is definitely just trying to establish ambition around it, but Team Queso has spotted it. However, I don't know if they will be in time.
As RixGG are going to start it out. Yep, it's going to go down. I feel like with a 2,000 gold lead on Andres in the jungle, I feel like some of these builds are a little sus. I feel like the AP Gragas is perhaps not where we need to be going, and neither was the crit build Rengar. I'm no expert, though. Remember, my lower third says it. I'm not the challenger player, so I'm doing my best with what I've got in front of me of just my thought process. But historically, and when I say historically, I'm referring to a lot of like 10 years of League of Legends PC. Historically, Gragas has been one of the best jungle champions just for having disengage built into his kit and the ability to just kind of like tank and body slam people to play frontline. And AP Gragas doesn't do that. AP Gragas one-shots people, which is great, but you got to find multiple targets here. So if you can find Joey in a fight, if you can find Andres, maybe that is how they win a fight, and maybe I can eat all of my words, and 7 can prove why he's here in the final stage. But that's the solar flare pushed down onto the bottom lane as Team Queso, they didn't find the engage they were looking for. They're going to back themselves away.
Yeah, 10 minutes in, once again, we haven't seen any spectacular plays, any spectacular team fights. I think after watching Paula play, I'm kind of waiting to see that, you know? Like, I need to see more incredible kind of 5 versus 5, but that's not going to be the case. Instead, Team Queso is going to try and find some isolated kills, perhaps one on random right now. No, Camilla's going away.
The one they need to find, the kill they absolutely need to find, and it's not just now, it's throughout the rest of the game, is Doom, because Doom is online. This build, this Stormrazor Infinity Edge build, is going to eat anybody that he uses a Catherine Rain on, and this is the opportunity. Clue is going to give him perhaps the setup for the dash into the fight. Doom is here, Doom is exhausted, and once it's down, maybe the damage can come out as RixGG are going to turn this back around. This was exactly what Queso couldn't afford, as Doom just has too much damage, and actually Random, coming into the fight, has turned his fortunes around in this game. He was 1,000 gold down. I believe he's now 1,000 gold up from the amount he's been able to take on the side lane. There's the explosive cask. He's going to have impact regardless of the build. It's all about RixGG walking through this fight, and Doom is going to unleash the damage from the Kai'Sa. We saw him get the MVP in the semis on this pick, and Andres, this is a 2 versus 4. No way a Karma and Riven actually going to go for it. That's a lot of damage down onto Andres. Surely he's going to die here as RixGG are going to pick him off. It was a little bit too much hubris from Andres to think he could make that play work, but Team Queso are going to push RixGG back away for now. I think Queso will try and get this mid tower off this. It's only 100 health, but Joey, he's going to be a little careful here.
I mean, this is no good idea. Just go alone without a wave by your side, and the overextend by Andres was so unexpected from him. I don't think of Andres as someone calm and collected, someone who knows what he wants to do, very methodical. But you can see in this play here the redemption to cause a little bit of healing. But with this explosive cask by Gragas, things go down to hell. Methanot falls first, leaving them without a front line, a proper front line with the Leona. Andres will try to chase here. Random just hookshots onto the wall, and that's what they have to do right now. RixGG doesn't have anything else. Just the turnaround to get the kill, and altogether, what I gather from this team fight is essentially, if RixGG does want to team fight 5 versus 5, the people that you have to take out first are on one hand Andres said, who stayed alive until the very end, but Methanot as well to avoid the engage.
And now that I'm seeing it in action, I can kind of understand it a little bit better now with this full AP, where it's just like you go in, you burst one target, there's no time for a second rotation of Karma's abilities, there's no time for Queso to actually play the team fight in an extended way, and then Clue and Doom just kind of tidy everybody up. As Snitch is going to get locked down in place by the Chains of Corruption. It's going to lock onto 2, and RixGG may very well have overstayed now as Snitch has already dropped, and into the backline Andres will take advantage of the squishy Gragas from here, but Andres will get knocked up. Is there enough in the tank for Queso? They've turned it back around. That's a huge turnabout for Queso top side. Random and Acolyte. Acolyte has the tower. This is not a 1 versus 1, but that hull breaker from each side. There are so many cannon minions in this wave. The all-important tower in the middle lane still stands for Doom. It allows him to clear out the wave, but it's about the Baron. Random is suspect. He's bought the teleport. Boots buys coming through. Look at them flying on the left side of the screen as the teleport's coming in. 8,000 health on the Baron, and Queso have to take the engage as Doom is going to back away over the wall with the Guardian Angel. He is still secure with that ultimate as well. They've denied the Baron. Now RixGG are going to teleport in.
Oh, they can't escape. Random does have the chance to do it with you.
Over the wall is Methanot. 7 doesn't quite find what he needs at the beginning of this fight, and I think RixGG are going to back themselves away. They invested a ton of gold into these teleports in order to fight, and Random with the Hextech ultimatum. Andres is locked in, but who's locked in with who? As Andres sets up Joey for a double kill, and Team Queso have managed to hold on.
Wow. Okay, this wasn't such a long team fight, all about who could make less mistakes, and in the end it was Team Queso, the ones who managed to survive, taking away 2 team members for RixGG, who now have the chance to take this dragon, and Infernal Wand will be quite useful for this damage adaptive wand, but Team Queso doesn't surrender, just here stress.
The gold between these teams is dead even, but between the lanes tells a different story. Top lane, or Baron lane, however you want to put it, for Random and Acolyte is in RixGG's favor. Dragon lane for Doom is heavily in RixGG's favor, and despite the fact that Joey still is getting good damage in these team fights, it's only going to get worse because Doom's Kai'Sa scales very well into the late game. Andres is the one, though, for Team Queso to put out a lot of damage up front. Joey tidying up the fight as Varus loves to. And Team Queso stall the game and put us at an even footing. Dragon went over to RixGG, though, and as Clue is in the jungle, there's no engage yet. I think RixGG RixGG need to hold their nerve here. They cannot overextend. They cannot get too aggressive. It's all now about how do you manage Acolyte on the bottom lane. He has the Hull Breaker. He's pushing away. He's got Stand United. So it's actually more about a slow game from this perspective. RixGG know that time is on their side.
Yeah, Acolyte has to retreat that from the Dragon lane. He was spotted. The wave is pushed, which will gain Team Queso a little bit of time. And here we've got RixGG trying to defend the mid lane. It's quite difficult for them because they've got a few open windows in the Baron lane from Team Queso's side. But now they have to find a way to actually retake the control of the game and start playing the way they want to, which is quite different from what we're seeing.
There are a couple of things we need to take stock of because RixGG invested so much in their teleports. Like, they've now only half of them have got boot and chance. I'm assuming that's in order to eventually rebuy teleport for now, but that means no stasis. That means no proto belt for some of these champions. And for instance, on the Camille, this is the moment where the concept of teleport advantage can be played into Wild Rift. It's a fundamental of macro gameplay in League of Legends PC. And in this situation, if there's a fight on the opposite side of the Rift, Acolyte can join and Random cannot from this moment. And that's why RixGG are going to, once they've now seen multiple members of Team Queso, will go for the Baron because they know that Random is winning this as Acolyte. He doesn't have anything to keep him alive. He's going to fall under the tower. Random's going to pick up the kill, and yes, Andres has exchanged it. But meanwhile, over at the Baron, that is a fantastic engage out of Methanaut. It's going to deny the attempt at the Baron. There's a teleport has been picked up from Andres, and this is all about Team Queso. They thought they had the numbers advantage. They thought that they could take the Baron, but in comes Andres, and the teleport was picked up. Team Queso, it's a 1-for-1 trade on the Baron laners, and I think instead of flipping it at Baron themselves, they're going to go for this in the fight on the top side. 7 drops low. The charm is beautiful from Snitch to keep him alive, and Joey has died on the backline to Doom. Doom doesn't have the damage, but he does at least have the Guardian Angel for now. Snitch picks up another one. This is oh so scrappy between both teams, but some clutch plays on both sides puts 3 kills on the board for both of our finals teams, and the gold couldn't be much closer past the 18-minute mark.
What's happening between these two? We're not seeing such messy team fight, messy game. Everywhere they try to fight, it ends up being just, you know, kind of guerrilla warfare. You've got 2 kills here, 2 kills there, not really game-defining team fights, and I think that's a mistake that they both should correct. True, we've gone to the finals. True, one of them is going to be the winner, the second one is going to be also going to the Icons Global Championship, but still, these are things that you really want to polish when you're going to be facing teams from all the regions, because otherwise, these are incredible weaknesses.
Snitch just saved so much of that fight. 7 was about to die to Andres over the wall. And I don't know whether he had full vision. I don't know whether it was blind, but the charm just saved his jungler's life. And it was enough while Doom was on the backline, kind of dealing with everybody else. This really is a clutch kind of moment for both teams. And you can see Team Queso don't have full vision control, so they're not able to assert themselves on the Rift. Teleport picked up by... Ooh, Random undid the teleport and picked up Stasis. He's going to go directly to the Elder because it's already been started by RixGG.
Acolyte does have the ultimate ready, though.
Methanaut, he's going to back him away from the pit. Oh, we're coin flipping. This is a total flip if they go for this dragon right now, because Andres into the fight, going to get blasted back away to safety, but all of his health bar is gone, and Team Queso, this doesn't look good for them to start the fight as Andre already dropping low. Joey forced to stasis on the back end, but look at the low health targets. One big play might be enough, and it was an attempt from Acolyte to get it, but RixGG have managed to play the team fight beautifully and hold through to pick up the Elder, and with 40 seconds left on the death timers, I think they just have too many options. The honey fruit from Andres to heal him back up. With the Karma, flash over the wall, looks for it. Who got the dragon off it? Andres has tried to go in as Veos is the only member of Team Queso still alive. It was stolen by Andres, but I think the game has been taken by RixGG.
I can't believe what they just did.
Although, to speak bluntly, it's 10 seconds. 8 seconds on Methanaut, and Veos managed to stay alive. Gets blasted back. It's all about the minion wave, and Veos, does he throw himself into this? Uses the Karma ultimate, uses the stasis, the wave is gone. Queso still have a life in this game as Doom stasis out. Joey will pick him off. Change the corruption lands. They pick different targets. Methanaut is trying to chase him down. Zenith Blade connects. 7 is trying desperately to back away, and no way, I didn't pop off for Andre, but it's all about the Dragon Steel and Team Queso keep themselves alive in this game?
What a fight right here. Methanol seems to be carrying kind of the game, doing the decision making right here. Now they are able to take the mid lane tower. The next one of the RixGG members is going to be spawning in about 20 seconds, which gives them more than enough to take another Nexus tower and perhaps get closer to the end of the game.
Big taunt from Clue, or at least the attempt to. Isn't random. Has he got the health to keep himself alive? Damage reduction comes through. Massive knock-up, and Queso, they're not quite as healthy as they would have liked, and with 8 seconds left on the death timers of Doom and Snitch, there is another twist in this turn. TP coming through from Team Queso. Is this the overpush? They're going to try and rush it down. 1,000 health left on it, and Team Queso take game 2 over RixGG. Despair from RixGG from a surely won game. It was so close, but the Dragon Steel is crucial.
Oh my gosh. It was so crazy going for them. If you think about it, Team Queso hasn't played this game properly or as well as we know they can do. But in the end, for me, what's caused RixGG's defeat here is their own mistakes. No matter who played better, it's no matter who made less mistakes.
I don't like directly disagreeing with my co-commentators, but I think there's only one thing that caused RixGG to lose this game, and his name is Andrezd. Ripping victory from RixGG with an Elder Dragon Steel, buying enough time on the back end of that fight with Veos, allowing them to cut out the minion wave, hold at their own Nexus, and run down middle lane with the Elder Dragon buff is the exact kind of ending for map 3 that we want to see, and I hope we get more of this. This is a banger series. Game 4 is coming up in just a few minutes. Stick with us after this break.
everyone, and welcome back to the WREC Championship Finals table stand. As Team Queso took the third game, they placed it 2-1, and right now it's all up to RixGG soon.
That draft was really, really interesting. So I kind of predicted that Rix would pick the blue side for that draft. They did, but they didn't pick the Karma. They left the Karma, and Karma went over to Team Queso. But they thought that they could counter it with the Galio, with the Gragas, and also the Camille, but it didn't work out for them. And I feel like it was a bit of a mistake, I feel like, for Rix. I feel like this Karma at the moment, with all the shielding, with all the crowd control, everything that Veos is doing in that mid lane, it's not even a support Karma as well. It's a full AP Karma with the damage, with the shielding, with the poke as well. It's just too much for Rix to handle right now.
Yeah, we're just watching the draft right away. And I think that brings up the fact that RixGG is super confident about countering that Karma. It worked for them yesterday versus Paula. But this is not Paula we are talking about. This is Team Queso. They are stepping up, and I really think you can't let that Karma open anymore.
Exactly. We've discussed it for the last 2 games already, that Karma is the most broken champion that needs to get perma-banned, but they are not listening. They had faith in the Camille combo with the Gragas and the Galio that they could counter it, but it didn't work out again. But let's not talk about that one. I want to talk about Analyst because this guy is too crazy. Like, we were shouting behind in the backstage because he was like
the key factor.
He was. I'm on the hype train.
Yes.
The Analyst hype train. Because he is too good. No matter what happens, he is carrying. Like, beforehand, they always pick the Lulu, the Yumi. That's why Rix has to ban. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need no support. He just carries no matter what. And we've seen it. He steals the Elder. And they turn it all around.
Because, I mean, Analyst managed to steal that last Drake.
Yeah,
and
it's too crazy. It's too crazy.
He stole the Drake, but also RixGG could have ended, but it was Karma the one clearing away the wave and making time for his team. And it was, I remember Method just going forward, Tennis Blade after Tennis Blade, killing everyone, but that Drake was everything.
It was just such a back and forth game. Like the entire game, I think, was 300, 500 gold between those two teams. Constantly there, just even the entire game. And you know, if the game is even, there's gonna be big players stepping up, and that big players probably Analyst. I mean, this game was just fantastic to watch. You know, he has those players around him. Obviously, it's not a 1v9 game, but even though he makes it look like it sometimes, you know, we had Methanol stepping up, hitting a lot of crucial ultimates that he could follow up on. Veas with that insane wave clearing, making sure that turrets didn't fall down, and Acolyte holding down Random in the side. And I know Random did have the pressure onto Acolyte most of the game, but that is why Rix picked Camille first, because it's a really strong champion. It's hard to match, but Acolyte did a fantastic job holding on as much as he should, because when he holds on, you have that Remen guy, and he's gonna, you know, do a little few things here and there and carry the game. You know, this guy is just, I don't know. He's special.
He's special. Okay, retaking the draft discussion. I want to talk about again Shen, because it's being, you know, such an important thing. RixGG relied on the Galio and Camille combo to deny the Karma, but you had the Shen, and you can just go full combo onto that if you have Shen on the other side, because he's gonna shield the poor victim of your combo, and he's gonna save it. And he worked in the 8. Acolyte was everywhere once again on this pick, and I will think that this is being a problem for RixGG.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you tried to go for the Camille Galio combo, but when you have a Shen with all the shields and also the Karma as well, that Camille Galio combo doesn't really do too much. You can see the damage. Look at Veos' damage. That's supposed to be a support champion. He has the most damage in the entire game. And that's 2 games in a row now of Karma for Veos. So I really feel like Rix needs to either ban it or do something else as well. We're going to see the gold graph soon as well. And what a roller coaster. Yeah, what a roller coaster.
Roller coaster of emotions, roller coaster when it comes in terms of goal, because it was even for almost the entire game. This game could have gone one way or another. In the end, it was Team Queso, but let's be honest, RixGG could have ended in that last push if it wasn't because of the Karma, and that it takes us once again onto the Karma discussion, because what is RixGG gonna do?
I mean, the important thing about the Karma is it's quite funny, you know, because we see RixGG banning the Lulu, which is something that Veas played in the mid lane.
Yes.
But Karma is just better. I mean, why are you banning the Lulu, which Veas plays a lot, when he just goes on and picks the Karma that is just better?
It's just better. I mean, she does everything. I know for sure. The fact is that, are you going to the red side to make sure to bomb the Karma? Are you gonna ban her from the blue side? What do you think, Dark, is gonna be the approach from RixGG?
I feel like the most simple solution is just to ban Karma out, no matter what.
No matter what.
And even if you let Lulu open, we have seen it from time to time. Veros on that Lulu wasn't performing, and I feel like if they just trade the Lulu for the Karma, then that's more than fine.
Let's see, guys, which one was our play of the game in
It must be the Elder Steel.
Yeah.
It's not.
No,
Never
it's
mind.
not. It's not a seal. It's not. It's not a seal.
This fight is quite crazy, you know. Like this fight is so back and forth, but Anderson on the back line is just, you know, tearing up Team Queso. So I mean, tearing up at RixGG, you know, a fantastic follow-up engage. But this fight also just showed just how close this game was. You know, both teams really, you know, going back and forth in these team fights, and I mean, we are just watching the grand final, and it's really delivering.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And I mean, it was the rematch of the last European finals. There was a lot of hype ongoing onto these finals, and now we have a lot of key factors. The Karma is going to be a key factor, but also the Riven is being a key factor. The Shen is being a key factor as well. And guys, we're going to check on our Coca-Cola pop-off of this third map. A lot of question marks, actually, but... Oh, that was the last boost.
That's so funny.
That's Methanaut taking everyone down.
Methanaut MVP for sure. It kills the Kaiser.
Definitely.
It kills SC7 off.
Kills the Gragas.
And actually, these 2 kills were really important because that allowed Team Queso to push and actually end the game afterwards. You mentioned about, you know, the kind of the defend from Karma, really, and, you know, clearing the minion wave, which means the minions don't, you know, the Nexus has that backdoor bonus.
And is resting right now.
He's
meditation for the 1 versus 9 backpack.
I think that's one thing about him as well. It's like you don't really see a lot of emotions from him. He's very calm. He's very cool. You
focusing in the game.
Yeah, focusing in the game as well. And you know, we talked about Andre. I think Rix need to change something up for sure because they're banning out, like like we mentioned, you know, Lulu, the Yuumi, but it just shows that Andre, he doesn't need the Lulu by his side, doesn't need the Yuumi by his side. He's still going to be the main carry for Team Queso. That Elder Steel as well was, you know, there was exhaust, there was taunts, there was also charms.
There was a charm, yeah.
There was everything, and it was kind of Andre playing really well, but it was also a little bit of a misplay by Rix as well, because in that situation, you can't flip the Elder. You can't. You have to focus Andre, you have to kill Andre, and then when you kill Andre, then you can take the Elder afterwards, but they weren't able to. Andre goes in, steals it, Rix can't end, Team Queso follow it back.
There's a lot of things
crazy.
ongoing, guys. Now, let's see if Team Queso takes the 4th game as well. If it's going to be at 2-2, I really have no idea. So it's time to our casters to pop off.
I don't know if I've got too much more to pop off, but I hope I have with 7 games potentially coming through. Stress joined this time by Hell's Devil. I nearly called you Hell's Breaker then. I don't know why. We'll get you 2 on the cast and one day it'll make sense.
Oh god, Hellsbreaker. Yeah, Noah called me that many times already, but man, I'm excited. Are you not seeing your name tag, Stress, right there?
I was saying.
Are you not seeing your name tags?
Ah, they're trying to tilt me. They're trying to tilt me, and you know who's probably tilted after that is Rix. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but not, like really, come on. That was a 1 game.
That should have been a win.
You've got Doom on Kaiser in the late game. You're like perfect, everything we need.
You know what's funny? You can never underestimate Andres. Even during the most desperate situations where they won the team fight, Andres is sitting at like 20% health. He has no vision. He will still steal the Elder Dragon. You can never underestimate him. Always focus him out, and then you can do whatever you want. Just always. Never leave him any chance to do anything, because this guy is going to take any opportunity to destroy you.
It's ridiculous. I cannot wait to see more games. I cannot wait to us to get into Game 4. I think the Karma has to go. The Analyst has talked about it a whole lot. We, of course, have seen, you know, a whole bunch. Oh, no, cover that. We don't want to see what champions right they've recently picked up. I've just seen what they've been adjusting. Yeah, where was I going with that? Karma Riven is pretty potent now for Queso. I think that combination, like Riven is so much enhanced by Karma's kit in general that it's not just strong on its own, but both of them together are ridiculously strong for how Queso play.
Karma's shields are so incredibly good. Like, it's even better than having a Lulu, for example, because Karma provides the damage, she provides the CC, the beautiful ultimate, but her shielding, that is the amazing thing about it. Her shield gives so much movement speed. It obviously gives the shielding as well, and it just provides so much value, especially when you're playing the Riven, who already has a lot of mobility. she can get to the backline so easily, Stress.
So RixGG stay on the blue side with their choice of side selection. It's funny, when Dooms was talking into the Mozilla's mic, I was like, is he trying to swap himself in? It's only one letter difference. For those of you that watched the Parlor series earlier, we actually had a swap between Dragon lane and yeah, it's RixGG stay on blue side.
Yeah, there it is. So RixGG stays on the blue side. Karma priority is very important still. So I wonder what's gonna happen. I assume TQ is gonna stick with their draft. Ban away the Lee Sin and ban away the, what was it again?
In the last couple of games, it has been Lee Sin, Singed, and Irelia.
Singed. That's what I was gonna talk about. Lee Sin and the Singed.
That'll allow either Yuumi or Lulu through for RixGG, unless they prioritize the Karma. Last game, when they were on blue, they picked Camille as their priority instead of the Karma. They let Karma go over to red side.
You know what I find crazy? There's no more Rakan priority. Yeah. Like in the first games, every single game we had Rakan picked or banned. First pick, like instant. The thing is though, we're not seeing Gragas bans either. We know that Gragas is supported. RixGG still stick to their guts. They're still banning away the Yuumi and the Lulu. They're not going to be allowing TQ to funnel Andres. Like, you can see how much respect RixGG has for Andres, right? This is the top of respect. They're banning out his Olaf. They're banning out the Yuumi and the Lulu, which we have seen be comboed with him for him to hard carry. And on TQ, bans away the Karma. They don't want to see it. They also banned away the Camille, which does leave open the Gragas, of course.
Yeah, Gragas is up. Now Singed, if they don't take it, it may very well go
up. Oh, Singed is up.
Yeah, that was the pick that was not prioritized, as well as the Irelia. I think Irelia here for Team Queso would make sense. Singed, here we go. And Singed isn't an enchanter in the sense of like keeping people alive with shields, but he has a lot of slows, he has a lot of tankiness, he can peel with a fling. A Galio will keep people alive, so interesting composition building.
But I think RixGG is ready for this. There's no way they just leave open the Singed. Like, they know about the Singed, right? Like, obviously they have two coaches. They know that this will happen. So I'm curious to see how RixGG decides to counter the Singed. Is it gonna be the Tristana on Doom? Because Tristana is one of those champions that can very easily punish a Singed, right? You can even put her in the mid lane. They actually choose to go for a Morgana, which is also a pretty good pick. Morgana's third ability, which is the Black Shield, doesn't allow Singed to fling someone back. So when Singed tries to go in and you time the Black Shield correctly, you can stop this Singed from throwing back. And we also know that 7 is an incredibly good Morgana.
Yeah, yesterday he crushed Parlor in that game with Morgana. Accelerated through the early game clear and just all the way through. Speaking of accelerated shot blasts are on the table for RixGG with this Jace up in the top lane. So likely to be the Gragas going into Snitch's hands, although that obviously has the opportunity to pivot to support if we see it. Did see a game from Clue earlier where it wasn't bad, but certainly there was a few missed combos here and there. And the Shen gets locked in before the second ban phase for Team Queso. So this still looks like a Queso draft. Singed is a little different, but you've still got Galio to protect, Shen to protect. Now we're looking which carries are they going to go.
And Shen is proven to be very valuable for Team Queso. And not only the champion itself, just the way that it's being played. Also building a redemption on Shen. Shen teleports into the fight, uses his redemption, heals his entire team, damages the entire enemy team. His ultimate gives the shielding, and of course it's Shen. He provides the value as a tank in a team. I really love this Shen pick by Team Queso, because even though it's quite an early Shen pick, and it's not necessarily the best pick into the comp that RixGG has drafted, it still provides so much value that you want to be picking it out before it gets banned away.
Is this a ribbon ban now from RixGG?
Yes, I would say yes, but actually, then you're gonna get the Graves, or you're gonna get the whatever, or you're gonna get this or that. They're banning away the Kha'Zix, which is also a jungler against Andres.
We've said this a ton of times. You can ban like 8 junglers against
Doesn't matter.
There's something coming. It'll be like a Xin Zhao or a Rengar or something like that he hasn't played in weeks that he'll just play.
I think they will, though. I think they will ban Riven, because Andres Riven is just, yeah, there it is. They will ban the Riven, but like, what does it matter? I'm sure they have a ton of different junglers ready. I've seen him play many times. Even the Rengar. He's even played the Rengar. There comes the Ziggs.
Ziggs is there. I was going to say Senna's up. For Senna Galio, if they'd have wanted it. Now, of course, Ziggs is, similar function, wave clear. I mean, Senna scales a little bit better with AD, obviously, the way that she works. I just wonder why they would pivot away from that and go for the Ziggs.
I'm gonna be real honest with you, because everyone talks about Senna being really good, me included, but honestly, we haven't really seen it work too well in Europe yet.
Yeah, we saw a ton of Senna Nasus not really pay off so much, and a bunch of Nasus Yuumi that maybe didn't look so good. Doom doesn't care about Senna in the discussion. It's just going to go for the Kai'Sa again. I will continue to say that that was a one game for RixGG in the last game with Doom on Kai'Sa in the late game. It paid off, and it was just a split-second decision around that dragon that really screwed it up. So I like Doom on this Kai'Sa. I think it's a great pick for Doom.
It's a power pick for Doom. I mean, Doom does it on all these ADCs. It was funny because even like you can see the ADCs being banned away from Doom. You know, people are afraid of Doom's Jinx. Of course they are afraid because he got 2 pentakills, by the way, if you haven't heard of it already. Doom is an incredible player on these ADCs, and he did really well in the last game. It was not his fault that they lost, and I'm sure in this game he'll do just as well. And Kai'Sa is a pick that does really well into the Singed, really well into the Shen as well. So it just works into this comp, and they pick the Jax. So it's going to be Jax in the jungle, which opens up opportunities for RixGG though, because Morgana can actually clear out jungle faster than the Jax, which allows her to invade, because they cannot let Andres get to the late game with Jax.
And actually, that kind of maybe clues in a little bit of why the Ziggs picked to me, because I'm looking at Shen and Jax. They're great on opposite sides of the map side lane, and then Ziggs can just kind of wave clear, use the ult, clear the wave, deny it, and engage. The same with like Galio can join from a distance, Singed can put a lot of control over the middle lane. I wonder how that disengage will go from Team Queso's side. From RixGG, I think this is a lot of the same again. However, I like the earlier game jungler. Although Morgana is a not particularly interactive jungle early on, she gets over the hump really quick and gets her ult and is able to team fight.
Exactly, and then they can invade the Jax as well. But another thing about Team Queso's draft, they have quite a good draft against the Gragas, and there really isn't a lot that counters the Gragas, well, necessarily counters the Gragas, but Gragas can't one-shot the comp of TQ. Gragas works against Ziggs, he can one-shot the Ziggs, but he cannot get through the front line, he cannot get through the Galio, cannot get through the Jax, cannot get through the Shen. So that's what I love about Team Queso's composition right here. They have a front line, and the Singed as well, by the way. They have a front line to block out the engages from RixGG, to keep Joey's Cax alive on the Ziggs, and to allow him to do as much damage as possible to hard carry the game.
It'll be a fun game to watch, I hope. I'm looking for the late game team fight where Doom tries to ult through and he goes over Mega Adhesive and stops.
Yeah.
Right next to Singed, he's like, I'm going in! Stuck.
That would be horrible. That would be a disaster. But indeed, I guess the way that RixGG can kill Joey quite easily would be with the Kai'Sa ultimate. But here we may have a cheese strategy. Ooh, Snitch saw it coming just in time.
We actually saw the opposite of that in game one. Like, Veos had his flash blown, and it was the Singed going in and actually getting the fling. This is the opposite of this matchup. So Snitch, I think, will be kind of like laughing to himself and think, you really think that's going to work on me after we did it to you in game one? No. I'm too smart for that.
No, this is not going to work on Singed. He knows what he's doing. He barely makes these types of mistakes. You know, he's calm and collective. If he gets beaten, it would be in the late game. Here he gets thrown over, but he knows. Like, Snitch is the type of player, very consistent. He knows his limits. He won't get caught off by these weird little plays. And as we can see, as 6 or 7 is not doing a full jungle clear. He's doing like sort of a half jungle clear on the red side. And I assume it's going to be a full clear on the blue side. Goes for the scuttle and then tries to get level 5 as fast as he can. And then he'll go for a gank.
I feel like laning against Singed, you just kind of get used to getting thrown about. It's just like, yeah, okay, fling me, I don't really care. Like, I'll just walk around in the lane. Both of these, kind of some of the top tier mid lane picks right now are these non-interactive picks in a way. And I say non-interactive because, like, neither of them are assassins. They kind of just trade health bars throughout the wave, and you farm up the minions, and then you reach your ult and you go to side lane, and it's all okay. Like, there's not a whole lot of like burst potential out of either of these.
But come on, we all love Singed. Singed is a crowd favorite. We all love to see this champion. And even though, you know, he doesn't do as much in the lane, he can fling allies backwards for his jungler to gank. So let's take a look at how the junglers are rotating as Random is in trouble.
Random drops low. It's not enough to pick up the kill, as Acolyte will get himself the honey fruit. Taunt Flash Ignite is available for Acolyte if he wants it. Binding lands. You've got to be careful under the tower. Great Black Shield early on, as there goes Acolyte to dodge out the exchange from Random, ticking down. The minions are trying to get him. 7 is trying to run away, and it's Veos trying to chase him. He closed the gap. It looked like he was out. It looked like they were out of the Acolyte.
He gets him! He gets him!
A rare mistake from Random in the 1 versus 1. He chose the all-in and ends up dying. It's 1 kill for 2. RixGG take 1. Team Queso get the lead.
Yeah, he did fortunately kill Acolyte. Otherwise, it would have been an absolute disaster. Random kills Acolyte. He's still ahead in gold and made Acolyte lose farm under the turret. But it was beautiful to see that Acolyte was able to pick him off. And Vegos, even though he's playing Singed, he's pushing out the wave and roaming. Even though Singed is not the strongest early game champion, Vegos still knows how to provide value, roaming to the top side of the map and getting first blood.
Oh, this series continues to deliver. I mean, from watching that, I think Random was so far under the tower that if he doesn't at least try and get the kill, like he dies for nothing, right? So I said a rare mistake from Random. I think the mistake in my mind looks to be that like Random is putting himself in a situation where he has to take that trade. We're so used to this guy just like crushing 1v1s and just walking into lane, winning lane, and then being like, all right, well, we just win the game through me.
Random is the dominant Baron laner of EU, but EU is the dominant Baron lane region. We have more Baron laners than Random. Random is incredible, but Acolyte is also just such a good player. And when you put him on a champion like Shen, he just proves how strong of a how good of a player he is. Stress.
Yeah, I like the fact that of the three Baron laners we're sending to Icons, they are the top three.
They are the top three.
We have Lonely Kid, we have Random, we have Acolyte, and I can't wait to see them stack up against the rest of the world's Baron laners. This is the Coca-Cola pop-off from this top lane dive.
And I wonder how Acolyte actually got killed. Oh, there it is. Like, Vegos killed 7, but I really want to see how Acolyte actually died after he killed Random right there. So let's take a look.
There's no ignite, so Random...
He killed him and the minions.
Auto. Yeah, because he uses an auto to get the kill, it aggroes the minions, and the minions kill him.
There it is, like, it's the minions. If those minions didn't kill Acolyte, Stress, I'm telling you, he would have been ahead by 1k gold. It would have just been game over for Random.
Huge, huge. And that's the difference. I think some people, perhaps, as you're starting out the game and not really understanding how to play Baron lane, attacking with a basic attack your opponents in the middle of minions is going to get aggro. And you can see that Random is going to use his minions to try and push down Acolyte into the base. If you hit them with an ability, it doesn't aggro minions. I think that's a really important difference. As bot lane, we're going to see the fling come through as Snitch. Oh, Snitch just got out as Queso are going to taunt them in place. Clue's going to drop as well and back away to the turret. Oh, Clue stays alive.
Stress, you ban away Singed. I'm not going to stress this enough. I cannot stress it enough. You ban away Singed. Like, this champion is just unbelievably broken. It's so funny because, you know, no one really thought Singed was broken. We saw it happen a lot in China, but then we're seeing it in EU as well, from Snitch, from Vegos, and it just truly shows how good the champion is. He already has a Wildlife Scepter. He already has a Proto Belt, which means he can engage, and he also has a Flash. No one is safe from this Singed anymore, Stress.
Ooh, no one's safe from Singed, and is anybody safe? Because Acolyte just picked up the Hullbreaker. So already that focus on the side lane. And Team Queso, 3 kills up, 1,500 gold in the lead. We knew that this Morgana was supposed to kind of help them through the early game, but that's a Trinity Force completed already on the Jax. Andres is in a decent position. It's not quite the point where Jax is as strong as you need him to be, but with Rix pushing mid lane and Stand United available, where is Veos? Where is Andre trying to get towards the fight? It's not going to be enough. They're going to take the Dragon, or at least start it up, and see whether Queso can contest. Doesn't look like they're going to even try.
So it looks like Andres is going to go for this.
He is
going to go for this.
He doesn't have a flash. This is a one-way trip if he does go for it.
I can tell you why he did not go for it. He knows his limits. You know why? Clue was waiting for him as the Alistar. He can siege him away. If Andres decides to go in without his flash, he just gets pushed away by Clue. So very, very well played by Andres, knowing that he cannot go in. But I would say even better played by RixGG. Because they they gave away a Baron lane turret. But they got that dragon, the Mountain Dragon. And it's going to prove valuable for them, of course. However, it's now Acolyte that caught up to Random. Because Random was ahead in this game, but now he's not ahead anymore. And I still would say it's a bit of a questionable buy to go for the Hullbreaker on the Shen. I'm sure we'll see like that the playstyle of Acolyte is going to correlate to that, but I don't agree with it, Stress.
Well, that's one of those moments where like if he groups with his team and doesn't really get the use out of the Hullbreaker, then it is absolutely something that is going to hinder. I don't think Acolyte is going to play towards that way though, right? It's like Acolyte has done so well on the side lane of pushing back out, and RixGG, they're going to kind of take a moment to head back and reset this game.
And Acolyte even goes for a Redemption, which is a team fighting enchantment combined with the Hullbreaker. I just feel like Acolyte is kind of delaying his power spike. He doesn't need the Hullbreaker yet. Another thing that I want to talk about, Stress, is Vegos' gold lead. 1.5k gold lead on the Singed.
Huge lead, and Andres jumps in. Counter-Strike is going to keep him, at least absorbing some of that damage, but it's not as effective as you might think, as does have a Vampiric Scepter to keep himself alive once he's back on his jungle clear, but it feels like these two teams had some engages, had some skirmishing, and are now like, ooh, I don't know how far ahead we are. I don't know that we can really take too much more.
And now the question is the Mountain Dragon worth the 2k gold lead that TQ has? I would say it's not. Mounted Dragon is not necessarily the very best dragon in this scenario because you're up against a lot of damage. You're up against a lot of sustained damage. The Singed, the Jax, the Ziggs. So that's going to burn through the Mountain Dragon. And when you're continuously fighting in the shield, Methanot nearly catches Random, but it's just not quite enough. I find it surprising that Random, regardless of Acolyte getting that kill on him, regardless of Acolyte actually getting an entire turret, Random is still ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Random's done this a lot, right? And I think we've casted many games for it as Andres is going to get knocked up, get bound down. In comes the Stand United. Andres is backing himself away. Needs to put Shen in a
Redemption.
position. There's the fling as Explosive Cask splits the pack. Galio coming into the fight now as well. 2 knocked up, but there's no damage follow-up. Queso very low, but have they juggled it enough? They juggle the aggro. Queso somehow survive with all of their support. It's all about the shielding, and Queso somehow they hold for 2 kills in exchange for 0. Mid tower under threat though. In comes Methanaut. Oh, not enough damage on the tower. That's going to be Random caught. Taunted down. Methanaut slams the ground for another kill.
This is a whole different beast of a Queso team, Stress. What an absolute perfect team fight. It was a winning team fight for RixGG, but Queso was able to get 3 kills. Queso was able to get the objectives. Queso was able to win this team fight. And oh my god, we can hear them scream from behind as well. Like, what an amazing team this is, Stress.
And you can feel it building. The Analyst at the beginning of this series talked about peaking at the right time. RixGG have been consistent. They dropped the finals to Gamelord, and it was we pinned it down to an unfortunate series that Gamelord came in from their 5-game series the day before and were able to rally with their meta. RixGG crushed through the last chance qualifier. They get here, they barely drop much of a game, and other than to Queso. But now Queso are empowered from a series they win yesterday, and they're in control against RixGG.
And when you have these types of teams against each other, I feel there is like a fear factor as well, right? Like, you fear the enemy team, and even though RixGG looks calm and collective, I really feel they're fearing Queso right now. After losing those 2 games, they know that Queso has it in them, and especially Andres, but now they're seeing Vegas as well, right? Like, they're not overconfident anymore. They made that mistake once, and they will never be able to make it again, because if Team Queso takes this game, it's going to be a 3-1 lead for them.
And I feel like the ultimate strength I had assessed from RixGG to begin this, of such deep champion pools, such consistent and flexible playstyle, maybe they're undoing because Team Queso have a game plan and they know exactly what they want to do. This time, however, it's RixGG to maintain control of the Dragon, but that is a massive taunt by Methanaut to pick up 4 from this exchange. If they can convert these kills, Queso will just extend their lead even further. It's 2 kills after the 4-person taunt. RixGG, they're scrambling, but they're not holding on to this game.
And yet again, Team Queso seems to be giving away dragons for a gold lead. And in this moment, they're going to be getting 2 mid lane turrets for its Stress. Maybe even the inhibitor turret. They've killed out 2 people, and they have the Rift Herald pushing.
Taunt lands, and that's going to be Queso taking another one. Rift Herald will get the charge onto the inner. Queso, they can see that they're a little bit low from this. They're a little bit damaged, so they're going to back away and not overextend. They are in full control, 9 kills to 1.
RixGG is falling apart, sir. This is not the RixGG that we know, and even though they were able to get 2 dragons, they are nearly 7,000 gold behind, and it's crazy to know because Random was ahead in gold in his lane. Sure, Snitch lost, but the dragon lane was even, and now they're in a position where they're a full 6,000 gold ahead and behind.
This was the RixGG that was built to win this match. The whole changes were made by RixGG after a disappointing end to last season's championships. And Queso, it's another year, but it's the same result so far.
And what a beautiful engage this was with Methanaut. It's not just guys on the Galio, we talked about it too much. It's also Methanaut on this Galio, and this guy is famous on the Galio. It was also during the online event, I kept talking about it. You do not give Methanaut Galio, because if this guy is feeling comfortable as we have a fight...
Oh, Random already half health, and Joey manages to flash away, keeps himself safe as Clue. He's on the front line, but
Andres.
he is going to take damage.
Oh!
The taunt comes through, Galio down on top as Andres has set him up for the engage. Snitch tries to back themselves away with the explosive cast, but Andre has the counter-strike running. Clue is going to headbutt his way back through the fight, but he's in the poison, he's in the toxic... And it's all about Doom. Can he put enough damage out? Body slam is going to keep him alive as Stitch gets the binding to deny the Stand United. And the tiniest amount of health is not enough for Veos to stay alive. Somehow, some way, RixGG trade evenly at least to begin that fight.
I'm going crazy right here, Stress. Team Queso is playing so well. Vegas is just playing the Singed absolutely perfectly, and then when he nearly dies, Acolyte follows up with the ultimate, and then Andres set as well, playing the Jax, using his third ability, flashing in, stunning 3 people, followed up by Methonaut. It's just perfect. And then Joey as well, he got caught, but no, he flashes out of it. These guys are all in the zone right now, and what I mean with that is they're in the zone to play perfect.
That's what they're going. They're going for those clutch plays. I read it as an even trade because Methonaut was so low that I thought he died. It was a 2-1
look at Joey here.
In favor, and Joey flashing out exactly what he needs to do.
Exactly, like it's all perfect. And then Andres with his third ability, boom, flash, stuns them. Methonaut follows up while Acolyte is keeping Snitch away. And now it's the Vegas party. But I cannot talk about the Vegas party because we have a different party going on.
Yeah, you got no time, and it's not even the after party yet for this one, as RixGG are wanting to hold this and make sure we stay in this series.
The mid turret is still alive for Team Queso as well, which is crazy to me because it has 300 gold.
They found one, it's 7, he's dropping low off the trail. Snitch, however, finds a beautiful explosive cask, and Acolyte's ultimate wasn't available. Andres was up in the top side of the jungle trying to push on that side lane, this composition that we said would do so well if Shen and Jax can push the side lane, but the rest of Queso needed to stay alive, and there was a great catch from RixGG to turn around Methonaut's engage.
And this is the doom that we know as well, because even though they're behind, he knows when to engage with those ultimates. He engaged, providing a massive amount of damage, but while I'm talking about that, Vegas just picked up his 3rd item, Stress. 3 items on Singed, that is a massive problem, especially when Snitch has that Gragas only sitting on 2 items. You're gonna be struggling into that Singed into a big team fight, and Ziggs as well, Joey Skax, he's building towards his 3rd item. Methonaut has the Warmog as well. It seems like Team Queso is really building the blocks to their late game composition to win this game.
They're putting it together, but that's a scary
It's another dragon.
moment. It's a scary moment. Another dragon fight, and last game all went down to the Elder and the steal from Andres. And Andres this time has a later game scaling jungler on top of it. But here comes the exchange as Methonaut into the front line, triple taunt, and the taunt from Shen. Snitch is playing out of his mind on this body blocking, but it's not enough in order to hold through from Queso. Look at those magic shields, and Team Queso are going to back themselves away, try and cut through the middle lane for the Baron. It's only Random that's down. 35 seconds on that death timer means he's not available for a Baron attempt, but RixGG have at least enough health to start taking this as Veos drops low. The damage from Singed is there. Methonaut again with a multi-person taunt into the fight. Ooh, I was going to say goes Clue, but he holds. He holds his nerve and doesn't overextend. He thinks the read is Team Queso are too damaged. They cannot go for Baron right now. They need to reset.
And Stress, RixGG is holding on. They have 3 dragons. They're losing the game, but they have 3 dragons. They're losing the turret game. They're losing the game everywhere except for the dragon game. And I feel in the current meta that the dragon game is incredibly important, because when the next Elder Dragon spawns, Team Queso has to get it. If they do not get it, if they give away 4 dragons to RixGG, they will just lose this game.
And like 13 minutes ago, you asked the Hullbreaker question about Acolyte. This game has given Acolyte no time in the side lane to push with this Hullbreaker. And while he's further along on his build now with the Divine Sundra, he doesn't have a completed 3rd item.
And that is why I just don't agree with the Hullbreaker, especially as his 1st item. If he had gone for a different item, he could have actually been able to provide a little more value during those early game teamfights, which may have allowed them to get a few more dragons, because now they're up against RixGG, who has the 3 dragons. And, you know, only giving away the mounted dragon is okay, because they did get a lot of gold for it. But when you give away all of these dragons, you're putting yourself in a bad spot, Stress.
And when we're talking about builds, there's no Stormrazor on Doom. A different Kai'Sa build to come through. It's Infinity Edge, Hurricane, with the Mortal Reminder here as well. This is a different build from what we've come to expect, and we know how strong Stormrazor is right now. Stormrazor basically destroys people with this composition with the Infinity Edge, so, you know, we'll have to see. He obviously wants some of that AoE damage in teamfights, but Kai'Sa does such a good job when you just destroy one target quickly.
And he's going for the With's End as well, which I do like a lot. Although this is not an item that we see very often on Kai'Sa. He's up against Joey Skax on the Ziggs and against Vegas on the Singed. These are going to be the main damage sources, and also Jax that deals AP damage. So I really like the With's End, but him not going for the Stormrazor, the only explanation I see is him.
Joey got caught, that binding is huge. 7 has found it, forced the stasis. Joey, can he get out? Stand United keeps him available. Doom into the back line, but it's not enough, as I think RixGG may have turned it. They've taken out one of the carries, and that's a good explosive cast. Snitch has turned it on for this game. Everything is landing when they need it to for RixGG, and Doom flashes out over the wall. Veos, he's going to lay as much poison trail as he can, but I don't know that the trap has sprung yet, as Methanol is going to get beaten down by Clue. Clue flung under the tower, but RixGG are advancing to get back into this game. We are now only at 1,500 goal difference as Veos can't quite close the distance on random.
Seven just played that perfectly, Stress. He not only caught Joey, he also used a perfect black shield to not allow Team Queso to use their CCs on the imported champion on RixGG. Just Seven showing that you have to ban away the Morgana when you're up against him. This is his comfort pick. This is the champion that he carries it. Because as we see here, he hit his binding on Joey, which secured them the kill. But then after, take a look at the black shield that he uses. So he uses it on Doom and blocks out the engage from Methanol, which allowed Doom to constantly deal damage and allowed Doom to carry this team fight as well.
You talk about clutch. The timing that SC7 needed to find. Seven, the Ziggs flash cooldown, I was watching it in this exchange, came up quite literally half a second after the stasis expired. It was unavailable until right after he died. Seven threading the needle on that timing, and Joey was just ever so slightly caught out ahead of time, and that's going to be a really tough thing for Team Queso to overcome. Finally, they're getting Acolyte into the side lane with this hull breaker to at least open up the map a little bit, and there's no teleport available right now for RixGG, so nobody can actually change that top lane status. But this dragon, you mentioned it, 3 dragons already for RixGG, and RixGG, they've come online with a lot of their composition. They have really good late game team fighting when their abilities land, but for RixGG, it's not all about flipping it. I mean, they're pushing side lanes back out for Queso. Queso right now are trying to assert some control on the map, and RixGG haven't started the dragon yet.
And looking at the builds as well, Stress. Random sitting on 4 items. Doom sitting on 4.5 items, and we have a fight!
Uh-oh, Queso, they thought they wanted the fight because they were in a bush, and actually the damage has gone down onto Snitch. Veos' damage is shredding them through with the poison, and it looked so good for RixGG at first. Is it going to stay that way, though, as Doom? Seven flashes out away. Joey on 1 health tries to regroup with the rest of the team. It's a double kill coming through for Doom. He's the one carry left for RixGG to hold on to this. It's 2 kills already as Andres and Veos are the only members of Queso that are alive, and Veos is going to lay as much poison trail as he can to try and deal with the health bars of RixGG before an Elder Dragon.
Man, Doom's positioning is just way too good during these teamfights. As you can see, he's sitting on full health as well. This guy just goes to the backline, kills everyone, takes a turret, and just carries the game entirely by himself. Just what such beautiful positioning. As I talked about, the way that RixGG can win this game very easily against this very tanky composition from Team Queso is having Doom engage with his ultimate. He does not want to have to use his ultimate passively. And that's exactly what Doom did in this situation as well. Because he used his ultimate to engage in the backline, he just destroyed Joey's Skax, and then there was just no one to kill him anymore.
Baron. I don't want to say it too loudly. I thought Jax had started Baron. I forgot that we've played online for so long that I don't want to scream that word.
There it is. This is the replay where it happened. So as you can see, Doom is just chilling in the background. He's not taking any CC. He only gets flanked by Singed, but then Snitch instantly pushed them away from him. There you can see stasis to survive, and then he uses his ultimate as well to get close, destroy Methanol, and Joey actually got destroyed by someone else. Well, he destroyed Joey as well, sorry. He just destroyed the entire backline, Stress.
Yeah, it takes all of them out, and Andre couldn't do too much more after that fight. Can't really close the distance, 1 versus 3. Ooh, we're going to calm it down just a moment. Or
ooh, they start the Elder.
But they know with the Ziggs ultimate, they have seen that it has been started. 8,000 health left on the objective.
They have an Alistar to push Andres away too. This is it for RixGG.
This is it. If Andres can get in there, he didn't get it. Andres
oh, he got it again!
Andres
he got it again!
2 games in a row! You cannot be serious! As RixGG cannot secure the Elder Dragon, it's all gone to Andre. And is that the series? Is that the moment as Queso will rip the game?
Got it again!
2 games in a row!
Oh
Queso
my god, Stress, I'm losing my voice! I'm losing my voice! This guy is just way too good. He did it again. He did it again. It's 2 games that they should have lost. They were in such an unfavorable position because they're up against the Alistar who can push him away. But he steals it again. He just steals it. He wins, and now they win. And they're up 3-1, Stress.
No way. You cannot deny Andres from the Elder Dragon.
I'm out of voice, Stress. I'm out of breath. I can't talk anymore.
2 games in a row. RixGG had it won. They had the late game. They had everything. You even said it. They had the Alistair to deny Andres. You just headbutt him away, but it didn't hit. Andre jumped in. He found the opening. He bypassed the crowd control, and he steals the Elder Dragon, and the team just clean up.
He finds an opening. He always does it. That's what we said, and we should keep believing it. Because even though this was an obvious favorable position for RixGG, it was the right call to make to start off that Elder Dragon. Somehow, some way, he does it again. He comes through, he steals the Elder Dragon, and they win the game.
You cannot account for the clutch. You just can't do it. You're like, okay, we're ahead.
I mean, they don't even believe it themselves either.
How can you? How can you? It's just like the guy runs up and steals Elder twice in a row. You've won the game. You've got the late game Kaiser. The game is done. Every coach looks at that and they're like, okay, we've won the game. That's it. The game's done. The game is over. We're 3-1 up in this series. Because realistically, that is where, in a different timeline, in a different multiverse, RixGG are 3-1 up in this series and they're 1 game away for turning around their fortunes from last year. But can you believe it? Is this going to happen again?
I think
that Team Queso, for a 2nd year in the row, are about to steal the finals from RixGG in a way. Team Queso, a very deserved 3-1 lead. We come back for the next game, perhaps the deciding game in just a few minutes. You must stay with us.
through.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the WREC Championship Finals. Team Queso, 3 victories in a row and 1 game away held Selvo to be crowned WREC champions. What an insane game, but how insane is Andressen?
I mean, what do I say? What am I supposed to say? We're gonna repeat ourselves every single time.
Every time.
This guy is too good. This guy is not even human. It's unbelievable. He steals it yet again in such an unfavorable position. He just steals it. He takes the dragon and he carries the game yet again.
Literally 2 games in a row, Darkbreaker,
Yeah,
where Andressen steals
it's unbelievable. He's proving himself to be the absolute best jungler in Europe right now. Like, in those situations, he is the only reason why they came back. If he doesn't get it, they lose. And 2 times back to back, he manages to steal the Elder Dragon. They had 3 dragons secured already, and result comes. He just gets it again, and they win the game. It's crazy. It's actually crazy.
I remember, Darkbreaker was yelling all the time in the backstage. He was saying, you can flip a Drake versus Andreas, you can flip a Drake versus Andreas, and I was like, no, but this is done. This is literally done. But he's solid.
You can't coin flip the smite against him, because you will get it no matter what.
And it's all right now about momentum. Carmeline and Team Queso has the momentum. They are on the verge of being crowned EMEA champions. It's all about the momentum. Is RixGG, to out of the series? Is able for them to get back into the game?
Absolutely, yes. I'm a Team Queso supporter, but I'm a firm believer in RixGG's coaching and methodology, and I know it's very ingrained in them, the way that they can come back from this disadvantageous position that they're living in right now. So for me, the next game could be theirs. I know the mentality allows them to do so, and I hope they can come back.
I mean, we saw this game was also too close. It was decided once a game in a Drake field on a Drake flip. We saw Doom so fed, so woman with the guys. It was a very difficult game to play Queso though, because you had Gallion, you had the Shen, and you're a very short range AD carry on the Queso. But even though he was so fed, it feels like RixGG just need. I just need to be sure that Andres is not around the Drakes anymore. Just that.
The thing is though, like, even though you normally would win certain things, or even though normally you would get certain things, this is not the case with Andres. So as I said, like, even though normally when you have an Alistar on your team, Alistar just pushes away the jungler, easy Elder, right? Easy Elder. Their call made a lot of sense. It made so much sense, but you just can't. You can't. Like, that's the problem of playing against Andres. And here you can see it again. 4-0-11. 16.7k gold. Perfect game yet again.
It is absolutely crazy. That's absolutely insane. Darkbreaker with this Singe pick, which is being so important. All the time, flipping people, all the time, carrying the fights. We saw him with some crazy plays.
Yeah, we definitely have seen that Singe is such a strong power pick right now in the current meta. And Singe is just dominating the draft. Like, do you let him open? Can you handle the Singe? Because he makes so many plays happen with his fling. You have the Proto Belt and fling combination to catch people off. And at the same time, the issue is just that Shen on Acolyte is also amazing. Like, he is taking so much pressure. He's on a weak side champion and he's still performing so well. And I feel like maybe they need to get that Shen away from Acolyte. Maybe they need to put Random on a weak side champion as well, or pick him into a champion like Darius that can actually counter the Shen pick, because so far every single time he's on a hyper carry champion that is supposed to dominate against Shen, it doesn't work out.
But the question is, what do you pick away from Team Queso? And I feel like this used to be the strength of RixGG, right? Like, you cannot ban them away because they'll play anyways. But I feel like Team Queso has evolved a lot, especially during this live event. Like, in the beginning, you could just very easily ban away some of their champions that they would just not be good. And right now we saw RixGG trying to do that because they banned away the Lulu, they banned away these types of champions. But Team Queso just picks something else and carries the game.
And let's see, guys, the play of the game, and I fully expect that Drake still, because it's been amazing. Carmeline, we're watching. Here we go once again.
It was so low. He just jumps in and gets it.
They put it in slow-mo, even Carmeline, because that was one hell of a play.
Absolutely, I think this was establishing what Team Queso can do even when it seems unfavorable to them. And one thing that should be mentioned about this particular team fight as well is the way they managed, even having a few losses there. Look at how calm they can be, despite screaming a lot and being quite passionate about what they do. When it comes to these particular moments, they don't just give it for granted. They don't take it for granted. They know that they were not safe yet, and they did a really good plan in order to escape that area.
And now, guys, I want to focus on RixGG's chances to take back onto this series, because it's all about the momentum, yeah, but those last 2 games were really, really, really close, and we were wondering about what can RixGG do. They stayed into the blue side once again. We saw Team Queso banning with the Karma, so they make sure that Chloe wasn't playing that champion, and they had some game plans, but I think that they need to push a bit forward. Maybe extra early aggression is the key. I don't know, Hells.
Rix can do it, definitely. They have the players for it, they have the skill for it. But you have to understand, when you win the first game and then lose 3 games consecutively, and but not just lose, they were winning, but they lost it like in an unlucky fashion.
Losing like this,
I'm kind of quoting the unlucky because, you know, it's Andres that's stealing it. But their mental is so down right now. They can do it. They have the players, they have the skills. They just have to stay calm and collective somehow and just win 3 games straight in a row.
Mental reset, that's what RixGG needs, guys, and we are heading into our casters for this 5th game, maybe the 4-1 for Team Queso, maybe the 3-2, I really don't know, guys, up to you.
Well, Noah, I'll be honest, we don't know either, because it's looked like Rix are about to win the last 2 games in a row. A stress joined by Ryu here for our potentially last game. It is a best of 7 though, so at a 3-1 means we still could have, that's 3 games we potentially have to play. I've lost my mind, just like Rix have lost their dragons at this point, which is harsh to say, but how do you account for that as a player?
I mean, this player is just not normal. I mean, Andres is pulling out some of the most insane performances I've seen in quite a while. I mean, it's actually just a rematch from the last year's Origin Series finals where Andres was stealing dragons and barons left, right, and center. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it is a situation that you can't really account for in a game like this, where, I mean, Rix, you do everything you can to draft around a composition that has some late game security with your superstar, you know, Dragon, Lena, and Doom, who you're like, well, he's reliable. He's just going to win us every single late game, and nothing Doom has done has been wrong. Like, that's my thing. Is like, none of their late game failures have been on any individual Rix player, but I feel like they've flipped the follow-up on Dragon too much, where like they kind of win the fight, but then ignore the objective and allow Andres to just come in. They really need to make sure Andres is like dead. Maybe you pick like Vi and you just like only ult Andres and throw everything you can at him.
I mean, it's just weird because you cannot really put all the blame onto the jungler when someone loses a smite battle.
Right.
As long as Andres is in range and he does not CC, it is a 50-50. No matter what you want to say, it is a team performance that has to get Andres out of the jungle pit. If you are in control of the pit, it's the whole team's, you know, responsibility to make sure they win that jungle fight. And, you know, you cannot really just blame Seven for that.
No, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Is like there's no one player on Rix that you can be like, that's the guy that's feeding in this matchup. It's actually, you know, Rix have been playing very well. Again, they should have perhaps won the last couple of games. And as we go on to another game of Rix being on blue side via their choice, Lulu off the board, Lee Sin, we're going to see the same. I think Olaf, Yumi. I don't actually think it's the draft that has been the problem either.
No, the draft has been, I mean, you know, fine to some extent. Rix is playing to what they know and what works for them. The Camille has been a really successful pick for the entire WREC. I just think this momentum that TQ has found in these, you know, hyper carry jungle composition has just worked out for them extremely well. And I would also actually just say, I don't even think Rix has been worse in these games.
Right.
You know, they just lost, you know, due to individual brilliance from Andrew at these extremely clutch moments. So, you know, it's a real finals. I mean, that the score 3-1, it doesn't really replicate just how close the series has been.
And I think this is a big pick. You and I were talking about this right before the broadcast threw over to us, and that's Singed for that first pick. I mean, Singed has been a massive pick on the winning side of this game. Like, it won game 1, banned out in game 2 and game 3. Game 4, however, Singed came into the mix and worked very well for Team Queso. On the other side of the rift, Morgana Shen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for Team Queso. This time around, that Morgana, we know it's going to likely go to Joey. We know that that's going to be the case for that bot lane role. It's not an Andres champion. You know,
oh, we get to see the Vayne.
Ooh, high priority on the Vayne.
It's something, you know, Rix has been picking more and more hyper carries in the bot lane. I saw in the WREC last year's qualifier, they picked the Jinx. We've seen the Kai'Sa in the last few games, and now the Vayne, they're actually picking this up. And I think, you know, with the Morgana coming out as well, it's obviously good for WREC, but it's also probably to take away from Seven, who has been really good in this champion.
It also opens up the potential, depending on what Team Queso do. I mean, I haven't played Shen Vayne matchup. I would imagine that because Shen's Shroud shuts out Vayne's auto attacks, it's not quite as simple as most matchups for Vayne as a melee range. So I would assume that's going down to Doom for that bottom lane rather than random. But we always know Snitch has that champion ocean. Is there a world where Snitch is like, give me Vayne in the mid lane?
I don't think so, but I mean, actually, I would actually say yes, because there's so many picks right now in the bottom lane that can really shut down Vayne.
Yeah.
There is the Draven, obviously, which we saw in the first game from the RixGG side, but there's also Barriers who can outrange him.
Yeah.
There is Saya who can outrange him. There is Morgana. Morgana already does it quite fine. There is also Orianna. There is Six. There's so many picks that can shut down Vayne.
It's funny. You can also Jinx is decently good when you just take those two into account, because Vayne can't de-push Jinx, and Jinx has a range advantage as well. It's a matchup that I actually hate playing when I'm playing Vayne. Like, it's so annoying.
And even the Nami is really annoying for Vayne, because every time she steps up, Nami can just throw her entire combo towards her, and it's just difficult to play. And even with Rakan, you know, it's gonna be better because they can play this super aggressively. And I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if you're gonna see this from Random in the top lane to counter the Shen.
Yeah, we'll figure out where they go. That was one of the things about RixGG, is they basically pick anything anywhere and generally do quite well with it. I think what's upset them though is it's been more about the team play, less about the picks, less about the individuality, more about the team play into the late game, where RixGG have, other than game one, RixGG haven't really had the lead to shut out a game so much, to the point where Team Queso were like, well, we know what our comp does. We know we just protect a late game carry, and then whoop, we steal the objective, we turn the game around.
But I don't really like what RixGG is going for right now. You know, we know Vayne is a really late game champion. Even Singe excels in the late game. And what worked for them in the first place against TQ when they won that game was early game power. They picked a Draven and they snowballed from the very beginning. And you know, maybe they're getting a little bit uncomfortable. They understand that all these games are going to 20+ minutes. So obviously the Vayne seems good in a nutshell, considering these games are very long. But what has worked for RixGG so far is actually, you know, the early aggression.
Yeah, early aggression. We'll see whether they can get out of the jungle. Lee Sin banned, so we're going to have to find it from a different place, as Kha'Zix banned away as well.
And the Jax is banned.
Oh, the Riven turnaround.
That is a really interesting thing, because what hyper carry junglers are left now? You know, Aurelia is banned, we have Lee Sin, we have Jax, Kha'Zix, Olaf. I mean, I think Graves is probably going to be the most likely to be here, but Graves is really short ranged, and actually Vayne can kind of, I wouldn't say one-shot Graves in the late game, but if Vayne gets some crit items, I mean, that fight can be really brutal.
Oh, Ryu. We've reached the power spike of Team Queso when 7 junglers are banned away from Andres. This is where he goes Xin Shao, he goes Rengai, he goes all of these. This is comfort for Team Queso, where they're banned out so much that they have to pick like a C-tier jungler for Andres. That Kali picked up is going to round things out, so likely up in that top lane for Random.
I think the Graves is going to be the last pick here. I mean, I don't really know what else TQ can go for, because, you know, they have kind of 3 supportive champions and Corgi, which, you know, is mostly a facilitator, also late game damage, so yeah, it is the Graves he's going to go for. I mean, it's a great pick. We've seen him carry on it last time.
Yeah, we've seen him carry. We've seen others carry on it, both from a mid lane. We haven't seen too much Graves out of the jungle, that's what I would say, and I don't really expect it to be the Morgana. There is, of course, that flex available if you want to put Graves in the middle lane and Morgana into jungle, but it doesn't fit the play style of Team Queso. On the other side, RixGG, I think, this kind of feels a little bit of like, well, what we were doing didn't win us the game, so we have to change up the composition just a little bit and pick different things. I think Snitch being on the Singed should be a really solid point for this game. This is very much comfortable for RixGG. Doom, I mean, Vayne has pretty much the hardest carry potential out of Dragon laners late into the game. Yes, of course, she can do single target and others can do AoE, but I think when you look at like pure damage output to shred through tanks, no champion matches Vayne.
But it's not really the thing that RixGG is known for. They are known for picking this Varus, this Morgana, those champions that really picks people off, plays the game really controls the game with the range, with the wave clear, with the crowd control, and, you know, I think it's maybe a desperate call even from RixGG. You know, I think, you know, they're in a tough position. I think Doom is sitting here right now saying, you know, give me that carry champ. I'm gonna carry it.
Well, we'll see whether he can actually make it work for the team. As I mean, RixGG now are in do or die situation for the next potential 3 games. They need to win back-to-back games to essentially reverse sweep. I mean, they of course did pick up the first game of the day, which we all thought, okay, wow, RixGG looked great coming out of game 1. Team Queso turned it around in game 2, and then 2 games followed that Team Queso stole from RixGG, but it's all about that Nexus kill, and that's what went in favor of Team Queso for the 3-game lead in this best-of-7 series.
And I think a small interesting thing, I mean, we see a little bit brawl in the top lane here. I don't think there's going to be a big trouble for either of those players, but Methanol actually went for Fun of Life on the Nami. I usually like the Summon Airy, because they can help you bully the lane more and, you know, be really aggressive, try to push Vayne into a really uncomfortable situation, but he went for the Fun of Life, which is obviously, you know, going to help heal Androset later in these team fights, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the way to go, but Methanol definitely has an idea behind it.
I love that. It's just like, I'm picking a rune so that late game, after I do my duty in team fights, my jungle can carry the hell out of the game. I love it. Ooh, Random dropping low from that one, flashed out from Random on this Akali, as Acolyte had the ignite. Running wasn't quite enough to pick up the kill.
And we see Andrew set his spot on the ward right now. I think he was trying to see, you know, if he could do something around the Random, but he sees he's spotted on that ward. He used the vision plan, and now he's pushing out the mid lane with Bears. Something he's been doing quite a lot. I think they're going for that top crab, and maybe even they're gonna take the top side jungle. It's something we've seen from TQ before, this specific move. Random was caught by it both in the first and the second game. So, yeah, I mean, Acolyte usually been getting those leads because his team is helping him a lot.
No flash means Random really has to give respect over here, but it hasn't happened yet. Veos is maybe going to give him the exit there. Taunt lands, and that's going to expire the jump from Random, but Team Queso can't overcommit into this. Look at where Andres was, and now Snitch is coming up through the river as 7. I don't know that he was spotted before he got into the lane. Smoke screen comes out. Andres is going to have to flash out over the wall.
The course here.
He's on the adhesive. That's going to prevent the flash. Really important from Snitch, and that's going to shut down the carry from Queso.
That was an amazing W from Snitch. It made the only way Andres had out there was either flash or quick draw over the wall, but then he's grounded. He can do neither of those, and then he pulled him back. I mean, what a really great roam from Snitch to pull off Androset. And I mean, shutting down Androset is going to be the key for RixGG, and they're doing so far.
Absolutely, absolutely has to be the key. And I know we don't see a whole lot of Singed up until this point in the tournament. This series, it's been the most as Random wants to go in, wants to get the kill, solo kill, gonna trade it 1 for 1. Acolyte will get at least some gold from that exchange, but Random, we've seen him basically diving towers every single game.
But it's actually worth it for him so far because his wave is pushing towards this enemy turret, so even though they trade the kill 1 for 1, Acolyte is missing a few minions, and the wave is going to bounce back towards Random later on, so he's going to catch up even more. So even though it's a really small thing, it actually is worth it for Random in this situation.
Yeah, speaking to some of the players, casters, and coaches, like, one thing that's different in Wild Rift is it's really hard to deny a lot of experience to laners. So if you do get that advantage in those situations, it can really open up kind of like this gap in the top lane. And with Akali, she's going to be able to snowball. Like, snowballing champions for Random is one of the ways that RixGG have looked the strongest throughout the split.
And what I really like so far from RixGG is that if you look at the bottom river and the top river, there are so many wards for RixGG, which makes it really hard for Androset to get stuff done. But 7 maybe actually catching him here in his own jungle.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen here, but
7. He knows Acolyte has no flash available. Random's going to put the Shroud down. No real exchange there. And both are going to back away on the top side. 25 seconds before objectives spawn. There is a deficit on Vayne. You kind of anticipate that coming out of the laning phase just a little bit. You're all built for late game strength, so it's not too far down. But if Joey keeps up at this pace and keeps extending this lead, it might be a problem, because Corki is not too bad in the late game himself. We always talk about him as a caster carry in the late game that really can output damage.
And the main reason why he's actually behind, because Clue roamed up earlier to help them kill Androset at the first plot. So, I mean, that obviously made Doom in a 1-2 situation at that point. So, a small lead to WREC is not going to be a huge deal for Vayne to catch up on later. But what is huge is that he did not finish his Spade of the Ruined King before the first Dragon or the Herald. So, maybe RixGG is just looking to trade objectives.
Yeah, that's pretty massive. Joey as well at the same time didn't get his full item. He actually bought a longsword because he was right in that annoying spot when you don't quite have the recipe cost to cover it. We're actually seeing both teams play away from each other for the most part right now. I say that as Andres is kind of like spotting out Snitch and Clue, but with the Rift Herald going down, Queso, they're making the dive work, cutting in with the package, but look, the damage has not been found onto Clue as Clue's going to dash back towards the minions to try and cut them out. Oh, that's a terrible mistake out of Methanaut, trying to predict the escape, and Methanaut has not set his team up, but the rest of the squad will at least pick up one. But in comes 7 from the side, flash under the tower. The turret actually did go down in exchange, and 7, has he done too much? It's an overextension. Team Queso, that was really scrappy, but come on, the kills go over to RixGG.
But Random is pushing in the mid lane. He's actually approaching the second turret with that Herald. It's going to be a huge loss for TQ actually in the end. I know that they are goal even, but Random has a 1,000 goal lead onto Shen right now, and they got 1.5 turret in the mid lane.
As I'm sure we're going to get a replay. Is that just a misclick, or was he trying to like prevent?
He got 2 turrets.
Was he trying to like, as in on the bottom lane for Methanaut? Was that the wave a misclick to try and like deny somebody escaping down the lane, or do you think that just ends up, backfiring on him?
I mean, I think he was expecting, Clue to run towards into the lane to maybe protect the other guy. I didn't really see who was down there, but to kind of get the attention over there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it also could have been a misclick. I mean, it's definitely a mistake from Methanaut either way.
I'll be honest, I was trying to set you up hoping for a replay, but we've had so much action there as the rest of RixGG will now go back in as Clue. Ooh, Clue gets just demolished to begin this out, and Methanaut finds his way back to safety. Ultimate nearly coming out. Great bubble from Methanaut, but look at how low everybody is. Random is trying to find the low health targets, but Queso have turned it back around. No way! Every time RixGG feel like they're taking the lead. Queso, hold on!
And TQ knows the #1 rule of League of Legends. Don't chase the Singed. So that's why Snitch ends up surviving this fight. But even though it looked really good for RixGG at some point, TQ manages to turn it around, and actually Anderson died really quickly in that fight, but Joey Skaggs, we've talked about this so many times. Anderson can step up, we know that, but when he's, playing like a normal, insanely good player, his team also knows how to step up. This is another one-man army, even though, even though the last few games, there have been some insane pop-up moments from Anderson, it's not a one-man army. This team is crazy around him, and Joey Skaggs is popping off this fight.
That's funny. When Andres is playing at the normal WREC jungle level, he's when he's not carrying everything on his back and being just this insane monster jungle performer. So Veos and Singed now down in this bottom lane, or Veos and Snitch, I should say, stand united.
Maybe he was actually trying to spy from Random.
Oh, yeah, okay. Looking at Acolyte's health, yes, that is exactly what happened. As Random, his ultimate was coming back up again, and Acolyte was like, I'm getting out of here.
I want to point out that TQ is actually starting the Dragon right now with that package in their base, but Veos is caught.
Veos is caught, but Dark Binding is going to put 7 under the turret. In comes the rest of the fighters. Joey's going to be able to get his way back out of this exchange. Will Valkyrie out. No sticking damage to pick up kills from now. Redemption will catch most of them. Oh, Acolyte doesn't quite get the taunt over the wall, and now Snitch has damage in that poison, but it takes time. It takes time to tick, and Queso, they're going to back themselves away.
And one thing I want to point out with Random is that he's so good at pushing those side lanes, but we're actually watching a replay of this fight where TQ, that's the first fight actually before where Anderson dies and Joey Skaggs just does so much damage. And when Random goes in there, kills off Anderson, Joey Skaggs, this corgi is just so strong, and Snitch runs away with the poison behind him.
Yeah, they all just move away from the poison trail, get themselves out to safety. And it means Team Queso, it's only about a 500 gold lead, there or thereabouts from these teams. Spooky Ghost will be used, they're going to both get consumed onto Snitch, so they don't see Doom and the rest of them. But Queso have pretty good ways of blind checking these bushes. With the Corki Rockets, you got the pool, you got like binding, everything like that is going to help them out.
Seven is looking to push towards the bot lane. RixGG has really good side wave controls. Both sides are constantly being pushed in, and with all the middle turrets standing as well, RixGG is really playing the map very well, but it doesn't really matter when TQ is actually still winning the team fight. So, if RixGG keeps on this up and actually starts winning these fights...
Oh, Mega Adhesive is going to deny Joey the escape, and it had to force him down into the package, but actually RixGG are going to engage into it as Queso stay on the burning ground, and the big kill comes through for Andres. Snitch is out of this one, and that's going to mean the Dragon going over to Queso.
That's exactly what I talked about. RixGG is playing the map well, but TQ is winning the fights. These guys are individually playing an insane level right now. I mean, what can you do when you're RixGG? You know, you're pushing the bot lane, you're pushing the top lane, you have control over the map, but whenever that fight happens, TQ just pulls it off time and time again. And it's great to see WREC and Methanol popping up and, you know, showing up and helping Analyst carrying this game, because, you know, he's had a pretty good game so far, but I think the star of the show so far is actually WREC.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing that really has allowed Team Queso to peak on this finals day. Is it feels like their compositions and the way that they're playing has been refined to a 2-carry system, as Andres is going to dash out. Black Shield's going to keep him safe for now, and in comes Acolyte into the fight. Taunt is going to hold Clue in place, and Doom is trying to run for the hills on this Vayne. He's already forced to flash, forced to tumble. Andre is going to match him as the Condemn is going to push him back away, and Queso will cut into the middle lane.
But what is RixGG doing? They have Sin split pushing in the bottom lane, and they don't have the vision. I mean, I know there are 4 people in the top side jungle, but it's way too aggressive. Snitch does not have a teleport. I don't like what they're doing right now. It feels like RixGG is becoming a little bit desperate, understanding that, you know, it's hard to find an advantage onto TQ right now. So, you know, Acolyte doing an amazing job right now.
And it has to be desperation, because RixGG have been ahead for so long, and this flank is one of the last opportunities for Snitch and the rest of RixGG to turn this game back around. Dark Binding is going to be used in the fight. First kill goes over to Doom. That's going to be taking out the Morgana, and into the rest they go as Random jumps in, Shroud's on. Joey Skaggs dropping low. 7. Can he find the kill? Big kill.
But Andres had damage!
Prisoners. Andres is still alive in the jungle, and Clue and the rest of RixGG are getting routed out of this exchange, and Doom and Clue, the bot lane, are the only 2 left for Team Queso to advance towards. Team Queso have 3. RixGG, oh, I don't think they have 3 games left. This could just be it.
It does not matter how good it looks for RixGG. TQ just have the championship DNA. Anderson and Acolyte knows exactly what it takes to win these games, and they just, you know, every single time it looks quite good for RixGG. You know, Anderson is just doing so much damage.
So much damage, so much damage. Welcome to the Cosset-esque review. Good save on that one. Oh, I mean, you were kind of saying it before that. It's like, how do you account for it? How do you go and kind of assess this turnaround from Queso, because they've done so good in these fights in the second half?
It was actually a really good flank from Snitch, and they did manage to catch Veas off guard, but whenever you're walking back in towards the jungle, when there's a Graves just kiting backwards with his Q, with his ultimate, it does so much AoE. Wow, I mean, you know, Andres said, oh my.
The taunt as well from Acolyte. The taunt flash gets it. Everything that they need lines up in place.
I'm just losing my mind here. I'm lost for words. You know,
how do you think I felt? This is game 5 out of these 2 teams. It's a total banger. There's the spooky ghost. Acolyte is going to try and, or I should say Random is going to be there as the rest of Team Queso are trying to lock him down. They, of course, have revealed him. He's going to use the fancy footwork to get himself out over the barrel wall, but that's a lot of damage as the rest of RixGG are trying to get for the bottom lane.
And RixGG, I mean, TQ actually still have the package inside of the base, so, you know, they're in a pretty good spot. If anything really interesting happens, they have that backup, and that's a fight in mid lane, actually.
Oh, Joey is dead. He was not expecting that after Random got chased. Rift Herald in the bottom lane as RixGG want to play away from the dragons.
And I think Snitch is trying to stop the recalls, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, he did manage to stop the Nami.
His grounded will work. There? I think he's got it down
on
Graves. No, he didn't. He didn't stop Graves. Graves is recalling from that. Graves actually managed to get back as the Rift Herald will take the inner tower. Oh, it's tense. It's tense.
And it's the same story over and over again. RixGG with the map control, but TQ winning away with the skirmishes anyways. Yeah, I think, you know, this whole thing started with Random solo killing WREC in the mid lane. I looked at WREC's health bar, and then I looked away for a split second. It was just gone.
Yeah, just destroyed. I mean, we know how Akali plays in those situations against the likes of a Corki. It's really hard for him to create enough space, because if you play it right, you just follow on the dash, right? It's like you try and Valkyrie away, well, Akali just uses the second half of the ability to jump into the fight. One player I want to keep my eyes on as this game goes late, because so much will be responsible, and on his shoulders is Doom. He's roughly even with Joey right now, and for a Vayne, while you would love to be snowballing and ahead, if a Vayne picks up 2 kills off a fight and can accelerate faster into the late game, that's dangerous for Queso. That's a real tough spot, but Doom has to
look at Joey now. We have to look at Joey. He has the package up. It's going to be ready. And
no dragon, though.
Yeah, no dragon. I think they're going to just back off.
Yeah. Package was used to disengage. I think RixGG are going to back themselves away as well. They're going to utilize that Shen on the top side. And the point I was going to make is if Doom's flash is up and his exhaust is up, I think RixGG can play that little bit more forward. If it's down, if Doom is under threat, then RixGG have to be careful. They cannot afford for Doom to die in these exchanges.
And Anders is just dashing forward like there is no fear in the entire world. I mean, he knows he has Veas with the Black Shield on towards him. If you know, Veas has been ready this game. Actually,
Knockup comes through. Black Shield really quickly laid down there by Veos. And look at Doom's health bar already forced back away from this redemption to keep Queso alive. It's only 2 cannon minions though, so I think they're just going to rotate out for topside to regroup with Acolyte around this Shen and get Baron lane control. Taunt onto Snitch. Snitch is going to get pulled. Will block some of the escape from the grounded. Random's going to go in. That's no tanky Shen anymore as Random dashes into the bush. He didn't know Queso were there. He opts into the fight, and that stasis is going to be everything to take out Doom. RixGG have been stretching forward to try and get it. Snitch is going to die here as well, and this might just be it. It's a double kill for Andres.
It's serious.
RixGG.
It's gone.
RixGG push forward. They have a wave in the top lane.
They have 30 seconds.
They're going to go through the inner tower. RixGG have 25 seconds left on the death timers. Last year was just their origin story. This win over RixGG is iconic. Team Queso are the first ever WREC champions.
This is on an amazing game. Andres really showing why he's the best jungler in the region. He's going to Icon Series and he's going to show Europe what we are made of.
Oh, Queso have done it again. Who would have written this? How could you write this script? Queso were eliminated early in the first set of the online tournament. They won the Purge tournament, they come into the last chance qualifiers. They make their way through the group, taking a game off of RixGG, and history repeats itself. In a finals, 2 years in a row, Team Queso defeat RixGG 4-1.
And it's just Andres and Acolyte leading this team to victory every single time. Same happened last year, same happened this year. You know, you cannot take anything away from RixGG. What a fantastic performance from them this game. This was not a team difference, this was a jungle diff.
This is the clutch moments that come through from players like Andres and the rest of Team Queso playing around him. We've spent months talking about how Team Queso play for Andres, and I think at some points in the split it was too one-dimensional, and bringing in the ability for Joey to carry yesterday on some of the carries just gave them that extra edge, and I think it really refined their playstyle coming into today, and RixGG just weren't quite ready to deal with it. They didn't have enough options to take out both carries, and Queso win 4 games back-to-back and defeat RixGG.
And it used to be the fact that if you shut down Andres, you know, the game was over, but that is not the case in this WREC. If you shut down RixGG, I mean, Andres, there's Acolyte, there's Veas, there's WREC, there's Method. This is a 5-man team now, and it's gonna be a really exciting thing to see them going up against the best in the world, because I actually believe these guys are the best Europe has to offer.
Oh, there's certainly some great European players heading to Icons. We're sending 3 teams, and Queso, I think watching them play throughout the split, they've been such a fun team to watch. Andres has provided them such a different playstyle to most teams, and coming into it, we weren't sure exactly where they were going to be, but at the end of it all, when the dust settles, Team Queso are taking their first steps towards the stage for that trophy.
And we are watching them go towards the stage right now where the fantastic trophy is.
Yeah, Team Queso, they're ready. They've been waiting for this for a year, with the changed roster, with everything on the line, with all of the opposition in front of them. They have beaten every team they needed to take their spot on this stage and be crowned champions of Europe.
We're watching actually a close-up of these players. Look how happy they are. I mean, you know, Anderson even looks so calm.
I was going to say, they look happy, but it's Anderson, the carry of the team, looking cool, calm, and collected from Team Queso. And it's all been about this moment.
Everything has led up to this thing. Look at these players standing behind the trophy. It's going to be so exciting.
Team Queso are the EMEA champions.
I mean, it's just, you know, watch these pictures, you know?
They want everything. They're giving all the resources to Andres. They're going to give him the trophy podium. They're going to give him the trophy. Oh, Team Queso.
He's lifting him up, you know, that right there. I mean, what a fantastic team to watch. It's nice to watch these players, you know, smile and laugh with each other, you know, even then giving the coach a hug, because this is really a performance that from everyone, the management, the staff, the coaches, and all these players, you know. Porty also, you know, really respected manager in the European scene. So, I mean, this is just an organization that understands how to win.
And it feels like they came here prepared to play their own play style, prepared to get out of groups and win with, you know, sometimes in esports like this, it's about playing your opponents. Sometimes you know, if you're on even footing and playing against your opponents can sometimes work. But I think what always works, especially in tournaments like this, where there's such a few number of teams, knowing yourself is perhaps sometimes the best way to go. We're playing over only 4 days, and you know, Team Queso's compositions were always built in the same way, and there were enough champions available from that enchanter pool that they could really put the pressure on. I mean, they dragged an entirely new meta into having to play against them, where you have to ban Lulu Yumi on blue side, which is unheard of in the way that people are drafted for the rest of Europe.
And it just goes to show how strong they are when they play their own style, you know. We've seen a lot of different styles throughout this tournament. We've seen RixGG with their early aggression, really lane dominant kind of team play style. We've seen Game Nord with their mages in the bot lane, play really slow and yeah. And then Andres said, you know, TQ with their own playstyle and all on him.
All on the carries of Queso. 2 players were able to carry through this with the rest of the team support, but it was a team effort from Team Queso to lift the Wild Rift EMEA Championships for 2022. We're headed back to the analyst desk to break down a 4-1 win and a repeat of history. It's Deja Vu.
Thank you very much, Trey. Thank you very much, Ryu. We have our Wild Rift EMEA Championship champion. It's Team Queso, and it's the same than the last year.
I can't believe it. It's deja vu, just like last year. It's RixGG coming in as the heavy favorites. Like, not just favorites, it's the heavy favorites. And then Team Queso coming in like the underdog, you know, the underdog. And they just take the whole series, man.
Like, I can't believe that, like, Andres and Acolyte both are back-to-back European champions. And, like, Game 3, Game 4, the momentum they created by getting those Elder skills. Like, the series could have went either way. This clutch play by Andres that decided who won it, and it's so crazy.
He was the clutch player, but I want to talk about Caroline, the evolution of Team Queso throughout this tournament. 4 days and how this team have changed.
I mean, it's difficult for me to talk now because seeing them grow from, like, even before this, right, when they were in last year's qualifier, again to there, then listen to RixGG, all the path that they've come through, how far they've come, and now they're, you know, winning and going to the Icons Global Championship, and I know it's amazing being a fan of this team.
I absolutely agree. I mean, the path has been absolutely wonderful. But let's talk about, because you guys were highlighting. Of course, Andres is the man of this series so far. He's told to Eldritch Rex. It's so important to take this victory for Team Queso. But the synergy between Acolyte and him has been everything. The Shen, 4 Shens in a row. How many Shens was it?
I mean, you gotta give all of them credit.
It was 4 Shens in a row, wasn't it?
You gotta give all of them credit, but I wanna see the first one that makes the meme of Acolyte having like you know, like a big thing on his back, a big boulder of Team Queso on his back. I'm retweeting that one because my God, this player just way too good, way too good. It's just unfair, to be honest.
It's like it feels like no one could have stopped like what Team Queso was playing. Acolyte all time in the silent, playing the Shen, ready to join his team whenever it was necessary. And he did protected everyone while, you know, Andres was playing his carries, of course.
I think it was really nice to see how Team Queso, like we already said, evolved. They used to rely only on Andres because obviously we saw he is such an amazing player. He knows how to carry every single game he's performing. There is no off game when he's playing. And I just love that all the other players are stepping up, or they stepped up in this series, and they all perform so well together.
Yeah, absolutely agree. You know, during the trophies, we were wondering how was it going to be for RixGG, because it looked like an amazing draft for them. The Whitson was free for the main versus for AP, but and we expected, even though the Grace, because it was the last option for Team Queso, but even though it worked so well for the Team Queso guys, for the cheesy guys.
I just think it somehow turned against them, like the pressure of being behind the series, something that very few teams can overcome properly. And in the end, that was what got them. Like those little mistakes that they were making, they are such a good team, and they're still going to the Icons Global Championship, but not in the way they would have liked.
Yeah, I mean, we can analyze whatever we want, but I really feel it was all about the momentum. I think it's being so high, and we feel like they can't stop them no matter what.
I can't even think anymore. I just want to go hug the Queso boys, to be honest. These guys, I'm so happy and proud of them. They're such an incredible team because, like, seeing them evolve, right? Like in the beginning, and I gotta be real honest with you, in the beginning it was not a good team. When they got Joey Skaggs and Methanol, it was looking very cheesy. It was just not looking that good. But
don't die, please, don't die, guys, don't die.
Seeing them now win up against RixGG.
It was too cheesy for me as well.
Seeing them now win against RixGG and holding up the trophy for Europe yet again, you know, qualifying as the first seed of Europe to Worlds. It's just, I'm so happy for them.
Yeah, I can tell you're yes, but it's been all about evolution. I mean, I'm so excited, Doc, to watch these teams to play in Icons.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing to see all of those three teams play, and especially Team Queso now with Analyst. I'm going to be excited to see how they're going to play in Singapore now that it's confirmed, and they are going to play against so many other good teams. And Analyst, will he be standing on top at the end?
Yeah, absolutely, yes, guys. Now we're ready for our teams to be crowned. Okay, so we're now watching, you know, Arclight taking the medal. It's been, you know, such an amazing moment. A lot of work has put on onto this tournament.
Back-to-back champions.
Back-to-back. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. This is the first steps of a legacy.
Yeah, wow. This is a legacy indeed, the Queso legacy, right? Like 2 years in a row, these guys are the #1, these guys are the best of Europe, and the guy that's taking the medal right now, Joey Skaggs, I want to give him a massive shout out. He's been the best in the mobile gaming scene for years upon years. He's 17 years old now, such a massive talent, and now he finally gets to hold the crown of Wild Rift, the best ADC in Europe. You can embrace it now, finally.
And it's also crazy that this roster, like, Analyst and Acolyte were from the roster from last year, but 3 new players and they made it work again.
I think we can't forget about the people behind the team. Poti and Amalha, who by the way has had a kid recently, so congratulations to him. This victory is also theirs. That's so important to remark.
And LK as well, the big mastermind behind Queso. I talked with him. He's the, like, when you see the draft picks, he is the guy that does it. He's the mastermind behind it. You know, all of the players are getting their shine. Anders is getting the shine, but it's also LK who is the mastermind, the coach behind Team Queso that keeps getting them those good picks.
They were so excited, the Team Queso guys, absolutely understandable, as here right now the EMEA champions is just so exciting, and as I said, this is the first steps of building a legacy, and I'm so curious about how they're gonna be, you know, the next season, maybe RixGG trying to, you know, take the revenge once again, because it's a revenge history, it's a rivalry at this point, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
really.
Like, RixGG Gaming just can't do it every single time, over and over again. Next year, new chance, I guess, but there's a but. Both of them are going to Worlds, right? Like, it's not like RixGG lost it all.
It's not the end. It's not the end. They have a first shot. They have a
both
first
of them qualified. Both of them are going to go to Worlds, and RixGG can still, you know, prove themselves in Worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the question is now that our focus is on Icons. Absolutely, Icons. We're going to have these 3 representatives. I think this is going to be the first seeding. RixGG is going to be our second seeding, and GameLoad is going to be the 3rd one. I'm going to ask you, WREC, how do you think that these teams are going to deliver into Icons? Because we know it's such a hard tournament.
I mean, it's obviously nice to know that Team Queso is already confirmed to be in the group stage and the others are going to be in the play-ins. But I mean, we all know, we all love some drama, and I think what's really important is that Europe is going to dominate and beat the shit out of NA.
Okay, but
here we are.
It's okay, it's all about beating NA.
Yeah, kinda, because we know that the Asian teams are so strong, and it's gonna be hard for the Western regions to compete against those Asian teams. But obviously, Europe has been stepping up, and hopefully they can match those other teams.
And honestly, Darkbreaker, I love that you say that. I even forgot about NA because, yeah, I mean, seeing these guys play, there's not even time enough to think about NA. Like, we're gonna cruise past NA, and then we're gonna be competing with the big regions, right? Like, these guys are gonna be the big boys.
Yeah, you were defending that we have the best Baron laners in the world.
For sure. I'm still standing by it, and seeing Acolyte right there.
Yeah, why the 3 representatives in the Baron lane we have?
We have very, very good Baron laners. Lonely Kid, Random, and Acolyte. I think those Baron laners are much better than the NA Baron laners for sure. And then
for that reason, it's all about today.
I mean, we also have Andre Z, and I think he can definitely compete with those Asian junglers, and he has been showing really good performance, and also at the Horizon Cup.
Maybe they're gonna learn in Icons not to flip Drakes versus Andressa. That's a lesson. I mean, that's a message Andressa sent into the Icons teams that they are going to face the next summer. And guys, we are willing to know how it's going to be in the interview with the Steward. The Steward, how are you joined by?
Thank you very much, Noah. I am here standing with the Wild Rift EMEA champions, Team Queso. Methanaut, first to you. Your first time at LAN against supports like Clue, supports like Heste as well. Yourself, you were a bit under the radar, I would say. How do you feel winning the EMEA championship?
The championship? I mean, against the support, I always thought that they was really bad. I'm not gonna lie, from the beginning. Heste is pretty good mechanically, but Heste was so shaky. But I think, like, yeah, I have the level to be the best support in EU, and I think I might prove it today.
And you definitely proved it as well, and now you're going to go to Icons as well. Andre, how do you do it every single time? 2 games in a row. You felt like it was going to be lost. It felt like everything was going to go down, and then you come up, the Riven, the Jax, you steal the Elder Dragon. When you stole the Elder Dragon, not once but twice, what was going through your head? How was you feeling?
It was calculated.
All calculated. There you go. Best jungler in Europe. Acolyte. A solid Baron laner, I have to say. Shen as well, 3 games in a row. Your second, four games in a row. Second European Championship now. Last year was Origin Series, went to Horizon Cup. What are you going to do differently to get a better performance now at the Icons World Championship?
Now we have 1 month for training hard, and I want to do the same like in the REC. It's like work for my team and play what Elke and everyone what. And that's it.
I mean, the Shen definitely popped off. You got Pentakill as well yesterday on the Shen, so happy days. Joey, for yourself, obviously first LAN as well. You showed that you could play the hyper carries. You showed you could play the AP mages. What is your favorite champion you want to play at Icons, and who are you looking forward to face as well at Icons?
I'm looking forward to play, I don't know, Chinese, Asian teams, Korea as well, SEA. Just looking to see how I match against them and what I want to play. Vayne is nerfed. Doom just showed it. I mean, I don't even think he can play that bad. It's just I don't think the champ's that good right now, so I don't really know. I'm going to have to think of something. Maybe Nasus.
I'm surprised you didn't mention one region there, but I'll leave that out. Veos, for yourself as well. You came so close last year at the Origin Series, but now with this Team Queso lineup, how do you feel as well? Because last year was a little bit of a disappointment on Game Lore, but now with this new roster that you have, how are you feeling?
I mean, obviously last year we lost to Team Queso since I was playing for Game Lord. It was really sad, but right now, like with that team, I feel like we can win everything basically. Like we won Europe, everyone was kind of sleeping on us, I would say. We were always like the underdogs facing Game Lord and RixGG, but we proved everyone wrong, I would say. And most important thing is that right now we can't really I mean, we can celebrate it, but not for too long, because Icons is coming and we have to beat Asian teams and obviously also NA.
For sure. I mean, I think that's the main thing now, is that it's only 1 month away. That's 1 month away now. You've only got 1 month until Icons, and the brains behind it all, LK. Absolutely crazy drafts overall. It was like, it turned into like blue side RixGG, and then leaving Karma open for yourselves as well. Yumi, Lulu and Olaf banned every single game pretty much as well. What's your thoughts behind that, and how are you feeling going into Icons?
Honestly, I'm feeling really well. Sorry, I have no voice. But I'm feeling really well going into Icons, because I think everyone is on the same page here that we want to improve more. We didn't show what we are actually capable of in this tournament. I think everyone knows here that we have a lot to improve, and everyone is going for the same goal, right? No one here is staying with this. We want to be champions. We showed it. We were celebrating it, but we have 1 month to prepare, and now we're focusing on it.
And I know you've got a lot of Team Queso fans at home as well, obviously here in Spain and all over the world as well. What have you got to say to them?
I think thank you to everyone. I mean, the Team Queso fans know already. We are very grateful with all of them. They also every single time send words of praise, thankfuls. Like really, every single fan here has been supporting us for a very long time, and I think this is actually very good. I just hope that we can perform really well at Worlds.
That's the next step is Icons. Thank you all so much for the interview. I appreciate it. Andre, you was also the MVP of the series. I think no surprise as well to anyone. Yeah. again, no surprise. But yeah, congratulations again. Wild Rift, EMEA champions, Team Queso. One last time, congratulations. Back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Yeah, this is our MVP of the series. It is impressive. I mean, he's told to all their tricks himself. Well, how is not gonna be the MVP?
You know, I love how calm he is, right? Like he never screams.
Another day in the office, you know.
It's just another day in the office. Indeed, he's just standing there with his hands in his pockets.
Well,
like,
I do have to steal this drag. I steal this drag.
Just a casual win, right here. This is normal. Going to Worlds, you know, that's
Literally
where the real deal starts.
Absolutely, yeah. It's gonna be the real deal. You know, they were all highlighting how hard it's gonna be. You know, Darkbreaker facing the stronger regions in that tournament so far. They have 1 month to prepare.
Yeah, it's gonna be actually, since we have the new patch coming up soon as well. 3.2 is coming out next week, and there are so many changes. We have rune changes, we have balance changes as well. So 1 month, new champions on top of that. So 1 month time, and then they will have to face against the Asian teams who are playing so many games. They are playing against so many teams as well, and I feel like we have been kind of copying their playstyle, like the Singe pick, for example, has been used in China for a long time, and Europe has picked it up as well now. So I feel like if they want to compete against those Asian teams, they need to come up with their own strategies and not straight up copy from those Asian teams.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, you can't be following the meta, Carmeline. You need to create your own meta game in order to be a champion, in order to succeed.
I think actually Team Queso are really good at mimicking this kind of things. Like they pick up on something, and as we've seen the progression they've had. And the same can be said for RixGG and Gamelord, because we can't forget they always go into Worlds. So I think if we are able to take notes on this first days of competition and adapt to it, we might be able to win the Icons Global Championship, please.
I mean, guys, you're gonna have a lot of changes for the Icons. You're gonna have a lot of fun with those new champions coming in. But anyway, guys, we're gonna check on our play of the game. The last play of the game. Oh, that was nice pick, though.
Yeah, that was a very important play of the game. Clue engaging, and it was actually looking pretty good for RixGG. But after that, Team Queso was doing well. Like this was the fight where we had the Nami bubble, right? Like RixGG was winning the fight, and then boom!
Massive bubble.
That's where it happened.
I swear that I always thought that not many people could have fit into Nami's bubble. I mean, 3 people bubble, that was absolutely game-changing, that breaker.
Yeah, and especially the Graves then in the backline was just doing so much damage for free, because they were focusing all of the other team members of Team Queso, and then the Nami bubble and Graves untouched, and we know Andrew said when he's on the hyper carry champion, and he played every single game in that series on the hyper carry champion. If you ignore him, you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And there were not many options in that draft. It was supposed to be the Graves, and in the end it was the Graves. Guys, we're gonna head into our Coca-Cola pop-off of this last game. Team Queso versus RixGG with the series
and
we had. And it's, you know, this last push.
It has to be. It has to be. This is the moment where Team Queso took the win. This is the moment where they win the game. This is the moment where they celebrate. This is the moment where it all happened.
They were so happy. I mean, absolutely. Understandable, not the focus on the Icons Championship. I mean, they need to, Carmeline, keep on the right path. The right path is evolving, not stacking, not being stuck into one-dimensional composition style. They need to be able to win through several win conditions.
Absolutely. We've been saying this. Andres has been carrying the team. He's got the MVP. But we can't forget that as a multi-dimensional team, we also have Acolyte, Joey, Methanol that still has lots of potential to unleash. So I hope to see that too.
And guys, it's been a pleasure to be here with you, joined by Josel, Darkbreaker, Carmeline, also Stress, Stuart, Andrew. It was my first Wild Rift event and you made it so easy for me, so I will be always grateful for that. Thank you very much for you back at home joining us and following the tournament with us. It's been everything. It's been everything. This is the end. We see in Icons, maybe. We get to see the teams in Icons, so I expect you. Oh, hey, you
Come
were
here, guys.
joining.
Come here, guys.
Okay. Let's all gather together here. Thank you very much for being with us and see you next time. Goodbye. We love you. Woo!